away.
Well, Doc, I don't know about that, but we're excited to be here today at South Boston Speedway. As you mentioned, I'm Bob Dillner, the voice of the Smart Modified Tour, powered by Pace-O-Matic. And we're excited because we have an unbelievable field of modifieds here today, almost 30 strong right now, waiting for a couple of drivers to make their way over from Richmond Raceway, about almost a 2-hour drive. And the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour in competition there today. In fact, right in the middle of the race, I believe, right now, which can be seen on Flow Racing. So you need two screens right now if you're watching Flow Racing. You need a screen on the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour event at Richmond, and you need a screen on what's going on here today at South Boston Speedway. Excited to have Danny, Blaze, Matt with us here today for Flow Racing. Going to have great coverage of all the racing action here from the NASCAR Wheel and All-American Series, late model stock cars to the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. All the cars now assembling on pit road, getting ready for a couple of qualifying laps. We see the number 25 of Tim Brown rolling through our Flow Racing shot right there. Tim Brown making his return to South Boston Speedway since a very difficult accident here a couple of years ago. And Tim said it was definitely a different feeling coming into South Boston Speedway here today, but he's excited to be back, excited to be with the Jerry Hunt Super Center team, and they're looking forward to a good run. He had a nice top 5 finish last week during the Warrior 100 at Caraway Speedway. And of course, we want to say thank you to all of our series sponsors. Since 2000, Pace-O-Matic has assembled an incredibly talented team from top to bottom, built on the grounds of integrity, innovation, and compliance, all of which aligns perfectly with the world of motorsports. As an entertainment company that develops gaming software that players love to play, Pace-O-Matic is all about giving back to local communities, small businesses, and now motorsports. To learn more about their history, business, charitable works, and products, check them out on their social media outlets or visit them at paceomatic.com. That's Pace-O-Matic, proud supporter of grassroots initiatives and proud presenting sponsor of the Smart Modified Tour. As we mentioned, qualifying coming up in just a little while here. Jason Tutterow will be the first car out for qualifying here. Everybody vying for the Pace-O-Matic Pole Award here today. There will be a redraw after qualifying. The top 8 starters will redraw, and we'll see where everybody lines up. The number 1 car of Burt Myers from Walnut Cove, North Carolina, now going down pit road, getting lined up for his qualifying lap. Burt says, he told me a little bit earlier today, he loves this place, but that car not to his liking, just very, very tight. Did not want to turn in the corners, so they made some adjustments to that Citrus Safe racing machine. We'll see if it pans out for him here during qualifying. And coincidentally, this is the 5th time, I believe, or 6th time, actually, the Smart Modified Tour is here at South Boston Speedway. And it was a big gap between 2021 when the Smart Tour returned to South Boston and the last time it had ran in 2001. Ironically, Burt Myers was in both of those shows. So Burt Myers here today, hoping for his first victory of the year. He's led more laps than anybody in Smart Tour competition after 2 events. Last weekend we were at Caraway Speedway in Sophia, North Carolina. Brandon Ward of New Day Motorsports and Coulter Motorsports took the victory there over his teammate, Joey Coulter. Joey Coulter in the 02 machine, quickest during practice session. 1 practice session today for the Smart Modifieds here at South Boston Speedway. You mentioned Burt Myers just a second ago. Citrus Safe, by the way, is a proud supporter of the Smart Modified Tour. It's a non-toxic, biodegradable grill cleaner that was founded in 1997 under the name of Bryson Cleaner. In 2003, they rebranded the name to what we all know today and use, Citrus Safe. And you can find their products nationwide at stores like Lowe's, Home Depot, and Walmart, as well as many others. I use them for my grill all the time. Be sure to check them out for all of your grill cleaning needs or on the web at citrussafe.com. That's Citrus Safe, proud sponsor of the Smart Modified Tour Choose Cone. If it's race season, then it's grilling season. We mentioned that race going on over in Richmond, Virginia, the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. A few competitors expected to come over here, including Matt Hirschman, the winner of the Smart Tour opener at Florence Motor Speedway in Timmonsville, South Carolina, back at the beginning of March. He is expected to come over and wheel his number 60 modified. That black machine, if you take a look towards turn number 4, you could see Matt Hirschman's PD Motorsports machine sitting there right now, awaiting him to arrive. And he will be getting a little bit of a police escort. Thank you to everybody who set that up here. And also Bobby Labonte in the Pace-O-Matic car. He's running the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour race over at Richmond today as well. And he will be coming over. We don't know about J.B. Fortin. He might be coming over as well. So Sadler Stanley Racing, thank you to Senator Stanley for setting that up. A little bit of a police help, escort, if you will, for those 2 drivers, maybe 3, coming over from Richmond Raceway over here to South Boston today. Everybody on pit road, if you can listen up, we need all crew members to the inside of the cars, all crew members to the inside of their machines and not up against the wall. Jeff Bunton says it's time to go qualifying for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. Almost 30 strong here while waiting some drivers to come over from Richmond. But we're excited for the Flying V8 Classic to honor the great Ray Hendrick here today. His son Roy is in attendance. And if you take a look towards the infield in turn number 1, you see the Flying 11 down there. And that car is synonymous with modified racing. Wherever it went, wherever Ray was behind the wheel, usually you can find him after the race in victory lane. That car won so many races, not just down south, but all across the East Coast. From up at Oxford Plains Speedway in Maine all the way down to Florida. Ray Hendrick is one of the best ever to ever grace the wheel of the cars that live by the grace of God in 600 horsepower. And today he will pace the field prior to tonight's Flying V8 Classic here at South Boston Speedway. And I'm excited to be back here. Doc Love and I were talking a little bit earlier, trying to figure out when I was last here, and I believe it was 2013 when Lee Pulliam won the track title. I was over here as he tried to capture the national championship and the track championship here, and this place never disappoints. So for everybody with a Smart Modified Tour, Flow Racing, myself, we're proud to be here because this is one of the finest facilities for racing in all of America. And we're talking about from big tracks to small tracks to road courses. This place is fantastic. For 21 years, it was led by Kathy Rice, and now Chase Brasiers and his wife, Carly, running this racetrack, and they're doing a fantastic job at preparing this facility for all the racers that come here on a weekly basis. And Peyton Sellers, I believe, Doc, he was on the set fast time for the late model stocks. We'll see how things shake down for him this year, battling for another track championship. And, of course, he's won the NASCAR Whelen All-American Series National Championship as well. So this was the home for modifieds for so many years, back in the 70s and 60s. And now it's the home for late model stock cars in the state of Virginia. Qualifying now coming up for the Smart Modified Tour here at South Boston Speedway. And the first car on the racetrack will be the number 22 machine for Jason Tutterow out of Advance, North Carolina, in the Carolina Drilling. Tutterow Racing Fury ECR engine underneath the hood for that driver looking for a good run here today. He does have a start here at South Boston Speedway in the wars of the modified class. We'll see how he does here during qualifying. First lap on the racetrack, 15.209 seconds. These modifieds fly around this racetrack. We'll see if he can do a little bit better on his second lap. And actually, Jason Tutterow pulls it to the infield. One and done for Jason Tutterow. Next up on the racetrack, one of the best to ever sit behind the wheel of modified racing in the Southeast. And that's the driver of the number 15 out of Lexington, North Carolina. the L&R transmission, Steve's Tires and Automotive, unique coating, Shady Grady Racing Troyer with that Tony's engine in that 15 for Brian Lofton. Brian Lofton, a top 10 run for him last week in the Warrior 100 at Caraway Speedway. 1 lap in the books for Brian Lofton. Lofton, 14.498 seconds. 14.498 seconds for Brian Lofton. And a little bit better on lap number 2, 14.430 seconds. Brian Lofton first right now here during qualifying. Heading into turn number 3, the next car on the racetrack. What a run he had 1 week ago, was up to 3rd at Caraway and finished in the top 10. Driver the number 18 out of Lexington, North Carolina, in the Jerry Hunt Supercenter LFR Yates spec engine in that machine for Daniel Yates. Daniel Yates, good looking car, missed the opener at Florence Motor Speedway, but is planning to run the rest of the year. Jason Tutterow, second. Daniel Yates, 14.867 seconds. That's good enough for second out of 3 cars. Can he do better on his second lap? Daniel Yates looking good off of turn number 4. Daniel Yates second quick to Brian Lofton's 14.430. It's a 14.778 seconds for Daniel Yates in the 18. The person that set fast time during Pace-O-Matic qualifying 1 week ago at Caraway Speedway, now on the racetrack, getting the green. In the number 14 car, Z-Max Racing, Chico's Bail Bonds, and Racing Electronics for Farmer Ted Bobby Meismer Jr. out of Concord, North Carolina. That Troyer machine powered by Tony's Racing engines. First lap on the racetrack, 14.323 seconds. 14.323. That's number 1 on the board so far for Bobby Meismer. Can he do even better on the second lap? And he does. 14.171 seconds. Top time so far in qualifying for Bobby Meismer in the 14. Next up on the racetrack, driver of the number 11. He's a former Pro Cup South champion from High Point, North Carolina, in a Better View glass and mirror PSR machine for Michael Rich. Michael Rich with some experience here back in the day in the old Pro Cup Series. White flag this time around for Michael Rich. First time on the racetrack, 14.646 seconds. 14.646 for the driver of that red number 11. Second lap on the racetrack for Michael Rich. Good enough for third quick so far out of 6 cars. 14.439 seconds. Not good enough to top Bobby Meismer Jr. on top with a 14.171 seconds. The next driver on the racetrack. Already 2 top 10 runs, including a top 5 finish in the season opener for the number 24 machine. They call him John Boy, Jonathan Brown, out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, in the AmeriFast Supply. Buddy Ellis Racing, number 24. This car, one of the best looking in the field. First lap now complete for Jonathan Brown, 14.500 seconds. Fourth quick on the first lap for Jonathan Brown. It's going to be tough today for somebody to set the fast time after a blistering pace by Bobby Meismer Jr. And Jonathan Brown misses it by about 2.5 tenths of a second. 14.401 seconds for Jonathan Brown. Second quick so far for driver of the 24. By the way, think about that. Bobby Meismer Jr., 14.171. Jonathan Brown, 14.401. Quite the difference between first and second so far during qualifying. Next car up on the racetrack. And man, it was a good machine 1 week ago when he drove to victory lane in the Warrior 100. Driver of the number 2, Brandon Ward, out of Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and the Renfro Heating and Air New Day Motorsports LFR. And Brandon Ward second quick on the first lap. 14.272 seconds. The best first lap so far. Can he do better on his second lap? He's nice and smooth. Brandon Ward comes up just a little bit short. 14.229 seconds. Oh, just under a tenth of a second behind Bobby Meismer in that top spot so far during Pace-O-Matic qualifying. Next up on the racetrack, one of the true nice guys of modified racing in the South. He says it's his final full-time season of modified racing. Next year he's going to do part-time in a lot of different divisions, including some vintage cars. But it's out of Coram, New York. That's where he's a native of. The 01 of Brian Weber with the last option bed Troyer car with a home-built engine. Ernie Ruggiero turning the wrenches on this machine. And Brian Weber first lap on the racetrack, 15.925. 15.925 for Brian Weber. That car just a little bit off so far here in qualifying. He says I'm much better a racer than I am a qualifier. With that checkered flag now out for Brian Weber, does just a little bit better. 15.616 seconds for Brian Weber. 8 cars now complete during qualifying. The next car on the racetrack, good to see this driver returning to the Smart Modified Tour Wars here in the South. Driver of the number 48, they call him Johnny K. Johnny Keepman out of Deerfield Beach, Florida, in the A-Best forklift and Viper graphics machine. Johnny, that team really working on that car during practice, making a lot of adjustments, first laps during qualifying of the season for Johnny K in the 48. Johnny K, 14.594 seconds. 6 quick out of 8 on his first lap. 14.594 for Johnny K. Does he do better? Keebman off of turn number 4 to the checker. And Johnny K, how about this? Third quick for the driver of the 48. 14.327 seconds. Great run by Johnny K. Folks, thank you for joining us today at South Boston Speedway. We're excited that you're with us here. What a beautiful day after a rainy morning in this part of the country. And we thank you for watching on Flow Racing. A bunch of racing still to come. Late model stock cars, Hornet division as well. And now on the racetrack, the number 79 car scoring his first top 5 finish of the year last week at Caraway out of Arcadia, North Carolina, and the Colfax Towing Snapple, Walkertown Mill, David Hill Insulation, Hillbilly Motorsports Machine, the 79 by Zach Brewer. Zach Brewer, his first lap on the racetrack, 14.571 seconds. 7th quick for the driver of one of the most famous rides in Southern modified competition. Brewer, does he do a little bit best on his second lap? He improves, but not his position. 14.484 seconds. 7th quick for Zach Brewer. And Brewer tells me really doesn't matter where he qualifies. He knows this Hillbilly racing ride will be tuned up for the race a little bit later on. We're celebrating Ray Hendrick here today at South Boston Speedway. Last year's champion of the Smart Modified Tour, now on the racetrack in the Tommy Baldwin Racing Mohawk Northeast Willwood Brakes Racing Electronics Machine, the 7NY for Caleb Heddy out of Shelbyville, Kentucky. Heddy, 3rd quick on his first lap, 14.275 seconds, 14.275. That is pretty close to the lap that Bobby Meismer laid down on his first lap. Checkered flag now out, and Caleb Heddy, fast time so far during qualifying for Caleb Heddy, and that's 7NY for Tommy Baldwin Racing, 14.142 seconds. Wow, that's about 3/100ths of a second over Bobby Meismer Jr., who gets dropped to 2nd. Action beginning to pick up here during qualifying for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. And now on the racetrack, a 15-year-old now, Carson Lofton, out of Lexington, North Carolina, in the number 23 L&R Transmissions LeBlue bottled water PSR car. Carson Lofton's gonna like that. 14.313 seconds. Carson Lofton, 4th quick, was running in the top 5 at Florence Motor Speedway and had trouble on pit road. Faded to outside the top 10. Carson Lofton, 3rd quick for Carson Lofton. 14.172 seconds. Wow, so close between Bobby Meismer Jr. in second and Carson Lofton. 14.171 to a 14.172 for Carson Lofton. I think we see a rocket on the racetrack right now. Driver the number 25, Tim Brown, out of Tobaccoville, North Carolina, in the Jerry Hunt Supercenter Amsoil Hayes Jewelers number 25, the Andretti Terry Hall car. That's a PSR machine with a Yates spec engine underneath the hood. Coming to the white flag with a rocket right now, Tim Brown, 10th quick on his first lap, 14.486 seconds for Tim Brown. Coming to the checker for Tim Brown this time by, he does just a little bit better. 14.358, 14.358 for Tim Brown out of Tobaccoville, North Carolina. 6th quick overall so far, halfway through qualifying for the Smart Modified Tour. Great to see this guy back with a Smart Modified Tour out of Statesville, North Carolina. Driver the number 5, the Mark III Financial Buzzy Racing Machine for Tom Buzzy. First race of the year, and he's planning to run just about every other Smart Modified Tour race this year, and he is a threat, a top 5 finisher from 1 year ago here at South Boston Speedway. But this car wrecked late in the year. They have fixed it. 11th quick on his first lap. 14.514 seconds. Nice to see the entire Buzzy family here as well at the racetrack at South Boston. Much better on his second lap, Tom Buzzy. 5th quick overall, 14.312 seconds for Tom Buzzy in 5th. And Tom Buzzy honoring his late grandmother, whom the family lost 1 week ago. A sticker commemorating her on the side of that race car here at South Boston Speedway. And Tom told me he's exactly where his grandmother would have wanted him to be because she loved racing. Now on the racetrack, after Tom Buzzy, driver of the number 39 machine. This car co-driven this year by both Jonathan Cash here last week at Caraway Speedway and here at South Boston Speedway, but also Ryan Newman. Jonathan Cash knows his way around this racetrack. Driver of the number 39 machine here. Jonathan is out of Oxford, North Carolina in the Pace-O-Matic car. Jonathan Cash taking the checkered flag. Fourth quick for Jonathan Cash, 14.223 seconds for Cash in the 39. Coming out of turn number 4 right now, the number 55 machine for the Flying Floridian, Jeremy Gerstner, 3-time winner in the SMRS Modified Series of old. And now Jeremy Gerstner coming up from Wesley Chapel, Florida, hoping for a good run here. He's had some success with some good runs at South Boston Speedway in the past. Jeremy Gerstner, first lap, 14.343 seconds in the number 55, 8th quick so far for Jeremy Gerstner. We'll see if he can do a little bit better on his second lap. Gerstner comes around to take the checkered flag, and much better for Jeremy Gerstner. The Flying Floridian in the 55 goes to second quick. 14.156. 14.156 for the driver of the 55. He is now second. Green flag coming around for the driver out of Penfield, New York in the Rocket Performance Parts TFR LFR machine for Chris Finichario in the number 8. Making his first start here on the Smart Modified Tour this year. Good looking machine. Had some trouble in practice today. They got that car fixed. First lap on the racetrack for the number 8. Finichario, 14th quick, 14.524. 14.524 for Chris Finichario. Checkered flag coming around right now for Finichario. He remains 14th quick, 14.493, second lap, quickest for the 8 machine. Now on the racetrack, driver of the number 21 machine. That black and silver car out of Lexington, North Carolina. It's Jimmy Wallace in the Carolina Drilling Fury car for Tutterow Racing. Top 10 finisher here at South Boston Speedway 2 years ago. Jimmy Wallace hoping for a good run here to put him in contention today with his fine field of modifieds at South Boston Speedway. .15th quick on his first lap. He improves to 11th quick on his second lap. 14.409 seconds. 14.409 for Jimmy Wallace, just outside the top 10. This guy's got a lot of experience here at South Boston Speedway and all the racetracks in the Virginia area. Used to be a late model stock car competitor, now driving this famous 07 VA machine out of Roanoke, Virginia, in the parts company Hannabass and Rowe collision machine. It's a Fury race car for Dennis Holdren. Dennis Holdren, first lap, 16th quick, 14.589 seconds. 14.589 for Dennis Holdren. Holdren's had this race circled on his calendar. Second lap on the racetrack, much better for Dennis Holdren, 14.293. Seventh quick so far in qualifying for Dennis Holdren out of Roanoke, Virginia. One of the toughest competitors in modified racing in the South. Out of Walnut Cove, North Carolina, he drives the Carolina Drilling, Greg Butcher Trucking, QRC HVAC and Refrigeration PSR machine, owned by Gary Myers, his dad, the number 4 machine for Jason Myers. Jason Myers comes around to take his white flag. First lap now complete for Jason Myers. Myers 15th quick, 14.477 seconds. See if he can do better on his second lap. Myers hoping for a turn of fortune here after the first 2 races of the Smart Modified Tour. 8th quick, much better for Jason Myers on the bubble for the redraw here. 14.299, 14.299 for Jason Myers in the 4. Just a handful of cars left in qualifying. Just a reminder, Bobby Labonte, Matt Hirschman, possibly J.B. Fortin, right now over at Richmond, expecting to come over later on today for the Smart Modified Tour race here. And right now, the fastest car during practice earlier today out of Miami Springs, Florida, he drives the number 02, the A-Shock Torch Eyewear SRI Performance Machine for Joey Coulter. That's a Fury race car. Let's see what Joey Coulter can do on his first lap. Joey Coulter, not quick on his first lap, 14.568. Maybe saving it for his second lap. Let's see if he can do a little bit better, and he does, but he does not match what we expected out of practice here today. 10th quick for the driver that finished second last week at Caraway, Joey Coulter, 10th quick with a time of 14.323 seconds. Track beginning to heat up, I believe, a little bit here at South Boston Speedway as well. Rain this morning, a little bit cooler temperatures. Now the sun beating down on this racetrack, and that will change the handling throughout the day from practice to qualifying, and of course under the lights here tonight at South Boston Speedway for the Flying VA Classic. Now coming around to take the green flag during his qualifying run, the real deal out of Lexington, North Carolina, in the Lindley Landscaping Walkertown Mill LFR Bob Brunel 07 machine for Riley Neal. His Uncle Tommy, man, he's so good at Bowman Gray Stadium. Riley trying his hand now at modified racing, and Riley Neal hoping for a good run during qualifying here today. Riley Neal, one of those young guns coming through the ranks, 20th quick on his first lap. Let's see what he can do on his second lap. Riley Neal improves to 19th, 14.698, 14.698 for young Riley Neal. Right now during qualifying, it's Caleb Heddy in the 7NY, Jeremy Gerstner second in the 55, Bobby Meismer in third in 14, Carson Lofton in the number 23 machine, and Jonathan Cash in the 39 VA for Sadler Stanley Racing in that top 5. But now, here comes the ace, and he is a fan favorite of modified racing in the Southeast. Driver of the Zero out of Walnut Cove, North Carolina, in the Citrus Safe Cleaners Backyard Leisure Pools and Spas. Kim Meyer's own machine. That's a PSR with a spec engine underneath the hood. Driver the number 1, Burt Myers. Myers coming around to take the white flag. Myers, he said he had a tight car during practice here today. Burt Myers, 12th quick on his first lap, 14.341 seconds. Burt Myers stands on the gas out of turn number 4, and much better for Burt Myers. Good time for him. He's in the class of the 14.1 second bracket, like 5 other drivers ahead of him. 14.187 seconds, 14.187 puts him 5th quick on the grid so far for Burt Myers. 2 cars appear to be left during qualifying. Right now, this guy finished in the top 10 in the season opener at Florence Motor Speedway in South Carolina. Driver of the Habit Bar and Grill. Got to get there sometime. PSR machine with that Tony's Race engine underneath the hood. The 45 of Gary Young Jr. 14.548 first lap for Gary Young, good enough for 20th quick. What a field of modifieds we have here. Those 600 horsepower machines, and Gary hoping to do just a little bit better on his second lap, and he does. 14.432 seconds, 14.432, 17th quick for Gary Young. 1 car left in qualifying. 1 more car to take time here. Reminder, Matt Hirschman, you could see his black number 60 car on the infield, not on pit road, but the infield, kind of on the entrance. If you're looking from the tower over to turn 4, that 60 machine waiting for Matt Hirschman later, running in the NASCAR Willa Modified Tour Race right now at Richmond. Haven't received an update on that just yet, but we'll update you as soon as we can. And Bobby Labonte's Pace-O-Matic number 18 is sitting as well in the infield, behind his trailer, which is more towards turn number 1. Bobby Labonte and Matt Hirschman expected to come over and escort from Richmond. It's about a 1 hour and 50-minute drive is what Bobby Labonte told me as I was driving up this morning. He's trying to pull the double, and that's a rare feat in racing these days. But fortunately, after the rain out yesterday at Richmond for the NASCAR Willa Modified Tour, these tracks not too far apart. So great scheduling, not only by NASCAR to run over there at Richmond, but Chris Williams and the staff here at the racetrack, South Boston Speedway, for putting this the day after. Now on the racetrack, this team has had some trouble here today. Going to take some qualifying laps. The number 8 car out of West Hampton, North Carolina. Yes, part of the Long Island gang, where I'm from originally. Huntington, New York is where I was from, but this is Wes Gilbert in the 8NY. Some electrical gremlins on this car earlier today. They were underneath the hood trying to make sure this car was ready for qualifying earlier. And Wes Gilbert now going around the racetrack. 24th quick, 15.428. 15.428 for Wes Gilbert in the number 8NY Spafco machine. An Art Barry race car. That brings back a feel certainly from the Northeast. But Wes Gilbert, 23rd quick overall, 15.142 seconds. The Pace-O-Matic Pole Award today will belong to the driver of the 7NY for Tommy Baldwin Racing, the defending series champion. Let's go downstairs now with our pole sitter.
This guy's down here with Caleb Heddy, and Caleb, you've run well here before, but today you're on the pole at South Boston Speedway. How excited are you?
Man, this is pretty surprising to me. Practicing this place all week on iRacing, just trying to get as much laps as we can. Very, very excited to be able to be on pole. I know the redraw kind of shakes it all up, but it's a big confidence boost going into the race, and we'll end up in victory lane. We'll try it out.
You've been good out here before. What is it about this track that suits you?
Man, I wouldn't say that. This place is just how crazy you can be behind the wheel. Usually ends up winning the race in these things. Our first time here was definitely a surprise about the speed, but able to come back with some experience, got some comfortability in the track. We'll be there at the end.
Congratulations and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's Caleb Hetty. He sits on the pole today for the 99-lap Smart Modified race coming up at the end of the evening. Guys, back up to you.
Ken, thank you so much for the report down there with Caleb Hetty. Talented driver out of Kentucky wheeling that potent 7NY machine. Let's just recap qualifying a little bit and give you an update from Richmond. We'll do that first. 28 laps to go under caution right now in the NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour race. Thank you so much to Doc Love for efforting this information. Bobby Labonte currently 9th overall in that field, hoping for a little bit better run. And Matt Hirschman, 18th overall. It looked like a brand new machine that I saw, that team, that 60 car debut at Richmond. But here, during Pace-O-Matic pole qualifying, it's Caleb Hetty who will have the Pace-O-Matic pole award for the Smart Modified Tour in the 7NY. 14.142 seconds was his top time on lap number 2. Just behind that, by 1/100th of a second, the Flying Floridian in the 55, Jeremy Gerstner, second quick during qualifying. Remember, the top 8 will redraw. Third quick, last week's pace setter during qualifying, the 14 Z-Max machine for Bobby Meismer Jr. out of Concord, North Carolina. And then the kid, Carson Lofton in the 23. He's 4th quick overall, 14.172 seconds for Carson Lofton. 5th quick overall, that Citrus Safe Racing machine for Burt Myers out of Walnut Cove, North Carolina. 6th quick, Jonathan Cash. Yes, Virginia's own Jonathan Cash in the number 6 late model stock car competitor here years ago at this racetrack. Brandon Ward, last week's winner of the Warrior 100 at Caraway Speedway. 7th quick and 8th quick, the veteran, Dennis Holdren, out of Roanoke, Virginia. He will be in the redraw, that famous 07 machine in modified racing. 8th quick overall. Those are the top 8 cars that will redraw here for tonight's starting lineup. And then, starting 9th in tonight's feature event, the Flying VA Classic at South Boston Speedway, will be Jason Myers in the number 4 machine, and Tom Buzzy making his return to the modified wars here in the South in the number 5. Times in 10th quick. That's where he'll start tonight for the Smart Modified Tour, powered by Pace-O-Matic. Big race tonight, the Flying VA Classic to honor Ray Hendrick. His son Roy is here, and ironically, today would have been Ray Hendrick's 94th birthday. Doc Love, Ken, we got a great night of racing here, and these modifieds always electrifying here at Sobo.
Bob, it is always a good time having the modifieds out here. They're big, they're fast, and this track just seems to suit them really, really well. Exciting qualifying, Doc, and we're going racing here in just a little while. But before that, got some other stuff going on the track.
Oh, we're just having a conversation.
Yeah.
I wanted to remind everybody, because you might see this shots on Flow Racing shake a little bit today. Well, this is the reason why. Take a look at those flags. I don't know what the winds are right now, but I heard they were going to be up to 40 miles an hour today, and you can see by those flags it is gusting today at South Boston Speedway. So if you do see our Flow Racing cameras, maybe shake a time or two. There is a reason for that. Man, this morning, Doc and Ken, we saw Mother Nature, her fury just come through this region, dump down a lot of water. But Chase, Carly, the entire staff here at South Boston Speedway worked vigilantly at preparing this racetrack. And you would never know right now that it rained earlier this morning, because this place is beautiful.
Yeah,
Hey,
Chase and the whole crew was on it instantly as soon as the rains let up, even actually before the rains let up. All right, yeah, right now we got the modified drivers. Modified drivers need to head to the main grandstand, behind the main grandstand paddock area. We have tables set up for you. We got the autograph session. Need to get you guys out there as soon as possible.
Hey, how does the wireless work down there? Pretty good?
Back there, yeah.
Maybe I'll go down there and talk to some of the drivers.
Hey.
That would be fun, too.
I've got an extra one if it don't, so we'll get something going.
Hey, 25 laps to go now in the Richmond race.
Yep.
Do you know who's winning?
I don't at the moment, no.
I need to take a look on Flow Racing. I can bring up the app and
Yeah,
everybody.
we know some guys on Flow.
Yes.
So while we're doing that, drivers in the infield, we need you at the autograph session behind the grandstands. Once again, all drivers, we need you at the autograph session. There's a line of people already forming, excited to get your autograph. Drivers, we need you at the autograph session ASAP. Thank you.
Yeah, the Smart Modified Tour needs you guys out there. They got their merchandise. Going to have merchandise back there, so it's going to be a good time. You don't want to miss out. So fans, be ready to jump back there and meet these smart modified drivers. So drivers, smart modified drivers, let's get you back there to greet these awesome race fans we have.
Bob, how are we doing over in Richmond?
Well, I'm going to let Doc talk because I'm just going to watch the end of the race here. 19 to go. And we know Doc can talk. Patrick Emmerling going by Justin Bonsignor in the number 51. Not sure if that's for the lead. It's what they're showing right now on Flow Racing, waiting for the ticker to kind of scroll through.
Yeah.
We're going to get to it right now. Here we go. Come on, ticker, move just a little bit. There we go. How about that? Austin Beers, who's coming over here to actually spot for a driver later on. The 64 is leading the race with 18 laps to go. That kid, the son of Eric Beers on Mud Lane in Northampton, Pennsylvania. How incredible is this? Eric Beers, who has won championships in modified racing, the ROC championship, Mahoning Valley, a winner in the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour. Of course, Tony Hirschman, the 5-time NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour champion. Matt Hirschman has won more than anybody over the last decade in modified racing. And now Austin Beers coming out of one road, Mud Lane in Northampton, Pennsylvania.
There must be something in the water up there. But you was talking about the wind, and they showed the graphic of the flags. They've been like that since I got here. I got here before 10 o'clock this morning, and you can actually feel at times the tower moving. Ken just fell out of the seat.
I think he's a rookie.
But you can actually feel the tower moving at times.
Yeah. Ooh, let's get it started. Getting the vibe going. Absolutely. Folks, want to remind everybody, we want to thank everybody that supports the Smart Modified Tour as well, including Jostens. Jostens is the most trusted partner in celebrating moments that matter, with their mission resting on 3 simple words: capture, celebrate, and inspire. This thought process has led the Smart Modified Tour to develop one of the most unique works of art in all of motorsports, the Smarty Trophy. And I know Doc wants one of them for his mantle in his home. From the same company that develops championship rings and trophies for NASCAR, the NFL, MLB, and more, Jostens helped us develop the race and championship winning hardware that truly embodies the characteristics of all modified legends from both North and South. To learn more, visit Jostens.com. That's Jostens, provider of the Smart Modified Smarty Trophy and proud sponsor of the Lap Leader Award. By the way, I want to remind everybody, I believe Bobby Labonte, Kristen Labonte, will be down in the Midway if she's not already, selling T-shirts and other merchandise for Bobby Labonte down there in the Midway here at South Boston. Short Track Life with Country Girl Creations also has a bunch of merch down there from koozies to T-shirts to all sorts of stuff that you want to head down there, water bottles and so forth. See Tiffany down there, Country Girl Creations. That's with 2 Ks for Country and Creations. I don't know why. And Short Track Life, check them out. A social media experience on all forms of social media, Twitter, Instagram, as well as Facebook, and free videos of all sorts of creations. Go to Short Track Life, the YouTube channel, and check it out now, covering the Smart Modified Tour, the Cars Racing Series, as well as so many other races around the Southeast. Short Track Life, a social media experience.
We helped it out, and I'm going to step down here. I'm a little too tall here. But Bobby Meismer, that was 10 questions.
Back here live for the Flying VA Classic. We will pay tribute to Ray Hendrick here tonight, who has done so much for this part of the country, but was so successful all over America, especially up and down the eastern seaboard. Won races from Maine to Florida, a 3-time Race of Champions winner. He has 5 track championships here, 20-time winner at Martinsville Speedway just up the road. Just incredible performances there in a modified and sportsman classic, classes. His son here with us tonight, Roy. But right now, we have some practice going on. You say practice? Yeah, I'm no Allen Iverson, but we are going to talk about practice right now because the two cars on the racetrack just made their way to South Boston Speedway here tonight. They ran over at Richmond Raceway earlier this afternoon. That race going a little bit later than they expected. Bobby Labonte and the Pace-O-Matic Cookout number 18 going into turn number 1 right now. One of the championship contenders for the Smart Modified Tour, powered by Pace-O-Matic. And then the driver behind him in the black number 60 machine for PD Motorsports, that Long Island Mod Maniac machine, Matt Hirschman. Matt Hirschman, one of the most decorated drivers in modified racing over the course of the last couple of decades. Winner here last year at South Boston Speedway with the Smart Modified Tour. And now those cars getting their first laps, those drivers gracing the presence of this beautiful facility for the first time here tonight. Both of those drivers will start at the tail end of the field tonight, and they'll have 99 laps to try to make their way to the front of the field. Matt Hirschman, the car still at speed, coming off of turn number 4 right now, won the Smart Modified Tour opener at Florence Motor Speedway back in the first weekend of March. He did not show up last weekend to the Warrior 100 at Caraway Speedway. That race won by Brandon Ward, but Matt Hirschman will be a threat for the victory here tonight. Did not have the showing he wanted at Richmond today. Bobby Labonte pulls off the racetrack in his number 18 machine, and Matt Hirschman now cooling that car off after a couple of hot laps here tonight. Both drivers to start at the tail end of tonight's field. These were the first laps they had on the racetrack here tonight after arriving during the late model stock car race. Congratulations to Carter Langley, as well as Peyton Sellers, big winners here tonight for the late model stock cars. Some great racing, as always, with late models at South Boston Speedway. Let's take a look at the Pace-O-Matic point standings for the Smart Modified Tour after 2 races coming into this 3rd race of the year. Brandon Ward, the winner at Caraway 1 week ago, leads the standings by 1 point. A mere point separate Brandon Ward and Burt Myers from Walnut Cove, North Carolina. Burt Myers will start 5th here tonight, and Brandon Ward will be on the pole for the 99-lap race for the Smart Modifieds. Jonathan Brown, 2 top 10 finishes for that driver so far this year. Jonathan Brown in the 24, 10 points back in 3rd spot. Joey Coulter, who finished in the runner-up spot 1 week ago at Caraway. He'll drive the 02 machine tonight. We call it the Gray Ghost. Good-looking race car for Joey Coulter, 4th in points. And Caleb Hetty, the defending Tour champion for the Smart Modifieds, 16 points back, tied with Joey Coulter, but scored in that 5th spot in the point standings. Bobby Meismer Jr. in the Z-Max number 14, 6th in the point standings. Great run for Bobby, the Pace-O-Matic Pole Award winner 1 week ago. He finished in the 3rd spot. Tim Brown, top 5 run 1 week ago at Caraway as well. 17 markers back, 7th in the point standings. Will drive the Jerry Hunt Super Center number 25 here tonight. Behind that, the car you just saw on the racetrack, the Pace-O-Matic Cookout machine, the number 18 of Bobby Labonte, 18 points back of Brandon Ward, 8th spot in the standings. 9th is Zach Brewer in the number 79 Hillbilly Racing Ride. And rounding out the top 10 in the point standings right now, Jason Myers in that black number 4 for the Myers Brothers Racing Team. There you see what we honor here tonight. The driver that used to run this race car, the flying number 11, Ray Hendrick. Won races all over America. As we mentioned, his accolades are many. One of the greatest to ever sit behind the wheel of a car that lives by the grace of God and 600 horsepower. His son, Roy, here tonight. A former champion here at South Boston Speedway in the 80s. And we'll talk to Roy during our pre-race ceremonies here at South Boston Speedway. We will also have out-of-car driver introductions here tonight. We will line up all the stars of the Smart Series on the front stretch and introduce each and every driver. Some great racing that we saw 1 week ago for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. As we mentioned, Brandon Ward took the lead from Joey Coulter with just 7 laps to go. Let's relive the moments. If you're watching the Flow broadcast here tonight, here's the highlights from the Warrior 100 1 week ago in North Carolina. in 600 horsepower. It's the Smart Modified Tour here at Caraway. Tim Brown poked his nose out front, but Burt Myers very strong on the outside. Myers takes the lead. He will lead the first lap here during the Warrior 100. Second place is the fight right now. The 25, that orange and white car for the Rocket, Tim Brown. Behind him right now, Brandon Ward takes a peek. Will Brown give him the lane? He does, makes it tight down in 1 and 2. Here comes Brandon Ward. 3 times a winner in the SMRS competition, and Brandon Ward goes to second. Here comes Brian Lofton as well. Lofton trying to get by the Rocket and Will early in this race. This race was originally scheduled for a couple of weeks ago and now being run on March 25th here at Caraway. Tim Brown to the inside. Tim Brown making a move on Brandon Ward, and that will be the end of Bell Helmets stage number 1. Burt Myers, Brian Lofton, the front row once again. The open wheel Warriors go green again here at Caraway. Brian Lofton, good run on the outside, but that preferred lane is where Burt Myers' number 1 machine is. He has it on the bottom side of this track. Lofton's got to try to close the door on Jonathan Brown, cannot do it. Jonathan Brown, John Boy to the inside. The 24 goes up to second, and now Lofton under fire by the 79 of Zach Brewer. Bobby Labonte in the 18 trying to make his way up further through the field, but he's losing spots. Bobby Labonte now 9th at the line, but the car right in front of him. What a good run for the 07 of Riley Neal. The New Deal coming through the field. And think about it. Riley Neal started all the way back in 22nd. Daniel Yates went by. The caution comes out. And a little contact between the teammates, Jason Tutterow and Jimmy Wallace as well. Somebody, I would say, my assumption is, somebody reporting that they believe fluid is being laid down on the racetrack. And we mentioned Burt Myers' 2 victories here. Burt Myers now coming down pit road. That number 1 machine, maybe they're going around the hood area trying to figure out maybe he indeed was trailing some fluid on that Citrus Safe racing car. Carson Lofton off of pit road at the tail end of the field. Oh, bottlenecked here, cars all over the place. A slow start by Jonathan Brown sends Dennis Holdren scattering on this restart. But Jonathan Brown trying to squeeze Brian Lofton. He did indeed on the backstretch. Lofton settles in, a little love tap to say, don't do that again, Jonathan Brown. John Boy 3 wide down the front stretch here. The question now is to pit or not to pit for 2 drivers in particular. The leader, Jonathan Brown of the 24, and the 15 of Brian Lofton. Bobby Meismer, Brian Lofton, Tim Brown's down pit road again. Bobby Labonte was feeding. Jonathan Cash as well. Jason Myers. Okay, it might be easier to talk about the cars that didn't come down pit road because the leader of this race at the next restart will be the 02 machine of Joey Coulter. Coulter was running in the 5th spot, and now Coulter will be behind the pace truck here, coming back to the green flag. They fire Riley Neal, trying not to get that jump on Joey Coulter. The green flag waves again. Definitely the veteran took the rookie to school there on the restart. Riley Neal going to lose several spots. Burt Myers trying to make his way back up as well. Right side of your screen, Meismer. That battle with that 14, Jonathan Brown of the 24 behind him, and the 25 and Tim Brown behind that. Zach Brewer, oh, look at this contact between Brandon Ward and Joey Coulter. Ward to the inside. Oh, a little contact there as well. Joey Coulter gonna lose the lead
that lap. But Coulter fights back on the outside, hits the brakes, locks him up in turn number 1. Brandon Ward, the new leader of this race. This time by the white flag in the air by Jeff Button. Brandon Ward trying to hold on. Joey Coulter closing in. Can he make a run? They got some slower cars. Carson Lofton gets out of the way. Caleb Heddy, the defending winner of the race, right in front of the leader. Joey Coulter trying to close in. Can't get it done. Brandon Ward, for the first time in Smart Series history in his career, is a winner at Caraway.
Tonight we are here at South Boston Speedway with a Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic to honor a Southern Modified driver. We honor one of the greatest of all time, the Flying 11, Virginia's very own Ray Hendrick, with the second running of the Flying VA 99. On hand today, his son, who followed in his racing footsteps, Roy Hendrick, a former champion here at South Boston Speedway in the late model stock cars. And tonight, he's going to drive the Flying 11, a replica of what his father drove years ago. And he's going to pace the field prior to this 99-lap event. Let's go down to Ken.
Guys, I'm down here with this beautiful number 11 modified Roy Hendrick. And Roy, out here with this beautiful race car, and how much does this mean to you tonight, being out here on the track with all these beautiful modifieds right behind you?
Man, I tell you, anytime you can do something like this, it's a great honor for my father. You know, he raced here so many years, and today would have been his 94th birthday if he was still living, but it's just a great honor for our family to be able to do something like this, you know, and thanks for the Smart Modified Tour to have us here. Appreciate it.
Your family is synonymous with racing. Your family's synonymous with racing in this region. Do you ever feel like you want to come back out, maybe get another race or two under your belt out here?
Well, I raced a little bit last year, but I didn't have a car up to par, and I felt good in it. Of course, I'm 70 years old now, so it's best that I don't do it anymore. But it's a lot of fun, and looking in the mirror back at these cars sitting behind me look like a bunch of monsters back behind me, you know. And it's pretty cool. It's a neat sight.
Well, it's so great having you guys out here and a wonderful memory of your father.
Yeah, and this is my grandson here, Parker, riding with me. And we're just having a great time. We've had a great time today. The track has treated us great. It's just a great deal. It really is. I love it.
Well, thank you for joining us out here tonight, and have fun out here on the track.
All right, thank you.
That's Roy Hendrick out here on this beautiful number 11 on the Flying VA Modified night with the Smart Modified Tour. And I'm gonna pop on back here now and chat with our fast qualifier. Took me a minute to find him earlier. Got him right by his car right now. And Caleb Heddy, and we were talking a little bit earlier, and you've put in a lot of time and a lot of effort on iRacing and sims and stuff. You've got a decent finish out here once, but how much effort have you put into trying to get good at this racetrack?
Man, this place is it's one of those places where if you say you can win here and say you have won here, it's a really big accomplishment. Got a lot of history behind it. It's just a name that everybody knows, South Boston, everybody knows of. So you know, put in a lot of effort, trying to get laps, trying to get comfortable. Even if it's behind my computer, it's worth something. So you know, I guess it paid off. You know, we're on pole, starting 8th, but put it on pole for tonight's race. So you know, we'll see where it goes at the end.
It is so hard to win in this series and so hard to win at this racetrack. What do you have to do in this car that you know is one of the fastest in the field to get past these 7 guys ahead of you?
Man, you got to take care of it. You know, it's a 99-lap race. This place is a little bit smoother than some of the places we go to, but you know, take care of the car. If you're nice to it, it'll be nice to you at the end. So just try to respect it and get up to the front. Slowly march through. Don't want to burn it off too quick. It's a game of chess, not checkers.
Well, good luck tonight, and hopefully you see that car in victory lane.
Hey, man, hopefully I do. Yes, that sounds great to me.
Bob, Caleb Heddy's feeling good about this race car, but got a lot of work to do. Back up to you.
3 races so far in the Smart Modified Tour. Caleb Heddy has been the Pace-O-Matic Pole Award winner twice in the season opener at Florence and then here tonight, hoping for another win. He's the defending series champion, but I want to talk about that number 11 machine and who we are paying tribute here tonight just a little bit more, because I think if you look at the accolades and the person that Ray Hendrick was, It's just incredible. Yeah, he ran the Cup circuit 17 times, 2 top 5 finishes, but he mainly stuck to big races and his beloved modifieds. Not chasing championships, Roy told me that here today, but rather big race wins. He won modified races, as we said, up and down the East Coast, way up in Maine at Oxford Plains Speedway, down to Florida. Hendrick saw wins at Talladega, Charlotte Motor Speedway, Dover, Richmond, you name it. Ray Hendrick won the Race of Champions, which in modified racing has always been the biggest race of all. And he won it on 3 different occasions. In 1969 at Langhorne, Pennsylvania. Then at Trenton, New Jersey in 1975. And again at Pocono Raceway, besting, back then, one of the best in the business. You know him. He's run here before. Jeff Bodine went on to NASCAR fame as well. But he's also, Ray Hendrick, a 20-time winner at that little racetrack just down the road from here, about an hour away, Martinsville Speedway. But I think what was impressive about Ray Hendrick is that South Boston Speedway held a special place in his heart and still does for his entire family, as we heard from Roy, his son, just a moment ago. Ray, a 5-time track champion in the late model sportsman division and also in the modifieds. He won 1 in the sportsman division. Those titles, 1961, 63, 66, and 68. Then 11 years later in 1979, he won the late model sportsman division championship at that point. Remember, South Boston Speedway was born with modified racing and has become a late model stock car track, and we're honored to be here today. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we need all the drivers by their cars now, all the drivers. The last car now going to be joining the field at the tail end. The Pace-O-Matic cookout machine for Bobby Labonte. Pulling around turn number 3, so we're just seconds away from introducing the starting field for the Flying VA Classic. 99 laps of battle for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic here tonight at South Boston Speedway. Thank you to the entire staff of South Boston Speedway, Chase and Carly, for hosting us here tonight. We have felt a warm welcome, and modifieds are alive once again here at South Boston Speedway. So without further ado, let's get to the starting lineup for the Flying VA Classic tonight. And starting tail end, 27th in the starting lineup here tonight. He is the most decorated modified driver of the last decade, from north to south. Driver of the PD Motorsports, number 60 from Northampton, Pennsylvania, coming from Richmond Raceway here today where he ran earlier. The driver of the 60, big money, Matt Hirschman. And folks, we want to hear a round of applause for all these drivers here tonight in the 27-car starting field. Starting 26 tonight. Driver out of Corpus Christi, Texas. He's a former NASCAR Cup Series champion and now a pilot in the mighty modified division of the Smart Modified Tour. Driver of the 18, Bobby Labonte. Starting to his inside in the number 25. He has run in the Big 3 leagues of NASCAR, in the Big 3 divisions. Driver of the 01 from Coram, New York originally, Brian Weber. Starting on the outside of the road just in front of that. Starting 24th in the number 22 machine. The Carolina drilling car for Jason Tutterow. To his inside, part of the Long Island gang. Nice to see this driver make a venture all the way to the Commonwealth of Virginia here tonight. Driver of the 8NY, starting 23rd, it's Wes Gilbert. Starting 22nd, 1 week ago, man, he was so good at Caraway Speedway in the Warrior 100. Up to 3rd, and he finished in the top 10. Driver of the number 18, that Jerry Hunt Super Center modified for Daniel Yates. starting 21st. And folks, we want to hear that round of applause here tonight. He's a new kid, just his third start on the Smart Modified Tour, driver of the 07. He is known as the real deal, Riley Neal in the 07. Starting in 20th here tonight, a guy from New York. He's a super stock winner all over the place at the Empire State racetracks. Driver of the number 8 had some mechanical problems in practice here today, but rebounded and qualified that car. Starting 20th, it's Chris Finichario. To his inside, a 3-time NASCAR Dash Series winner. Now a driver and a contender in the Smart Modified Tour. In the Hillbilly Racing, number 79, starting 19th, it's Zach Brewer. Just in front of that, in the number 11 car, starting 18th tonight, a former Pro Cup South champion. In that number 11, it's Michael Rich. To his inside, starting 17th. Had a great top 10 run in the season opener at Florence Motor Speedway in South Carolina. The number 45 for driver, Gary Young Jr. Starting 16th, driver of the 15 for Shady Grady Racing. You gotta love that team name. Finished second here in 2013 in a NASCAR Whelen Southern Modified Tour event. It's the veteran, Brian Lofton. And to his inside, one of the veterans here of racing in the Southeast, starting 15th. He finished 7th here 2 years ago in the Smart Modified Tour race. Put your hands together for Jimmy Wallace. Starting 14th in the number 24. One of only 3 drivers to have 2 top 10 finishes to open the season. A 3-time winner in the Smart Modified Tour, driver of the number 24, starting 14th. It's John Boy, Jonathan Brown. It's an all-brown row in that row, and starting to his inside, starting 13th here tonight, a 12-time Bowman Gray Stadium champion. It is the Rocket, Tim Brown, in the Jerry Hunt Supercenter, number 25. Starting 12th tonight in a brand new PSR modified machine. The number 48 car for Johnny Keeveman. They call him Johnny K, hoping for a good run tonight here at Sobo. To his inside, fastest during practice here today, but he admittedly messed up in qualifying, but he thinks he's got a good race car. He finished second 1 week ago in the Warrior 100 at Caraway Speedway from Miami Springs, Florida. It's Joey Coulter in the 02. And now cracking the top 10 here tonight. Finished 5th in this race 1 year ago. A big welcome back to the Smart Modified Tour for Statesville, North Carolina driver Tom Buzzy in the number 5. To his inside. Best finish of 5th here in Smart Modified Tour competition. Driver of the number 4 machine from Walnut Cove, North Carolina, the bad boy Jason Myers. Tonight's Pace-O-Matic Pole Award winner, and after the redraw, he will start 7th in the 7NY for Tommy Baldwin Racing, the defending series champion, Caleb Heddy out of Kentucky. To his inside, he knows this racetrack very well. Has run all sorts of cars here, from Pro Cup to the East Series and late model stock cars. Driver of the Pace-O-Matic number 39 for Sadler Stanley Racing. It's Jonathan Cash. And how about this? Starting 6th here tonight in that famous red number 23. He's just 15 years old, and he might contend for the win here tonight. It's Carson Lofton. To his inside, synonymous with the current age of Southern Modified Racing, is this driver from Walnut Cove, North Carolina. An 8-time winner on the Smart Modified Tour, hoping for his first win like his father did back in 2001. It's the ace, Burt Myers. Gotta love the cheers and jeers out in the crowd here tonight. Starting fourth in the Z-Max number 14 out of Concord, North Carolina. He was third at Caraway 1 week ago. It's Bobby Meismer Jr. Starting third in that second row here tonight. A 6-time winner on the SMRS modified scene years ago. Now driving the number 55, it's the Flying Floridian, Jeremy Gerstner. And now we have made our way all the way up to the front row. This guy is a veteran of racing wars in the Southeast. From Roanoke, Virginia, driver of that very famous black 07 VA, it's Dennis Holdren. And on the pole spot for tonight's race, the winner 1 week ago in that Warrior 100 at Caraway Speedway, driver of the New Day Motorsports, Coulter Motorsports machine for Brandon Ward. Folks, that is your starting lineup. 27 cars strong here tonight for the Smart Modified Tour, powered by Pace-O-Matic. Throughout this race, we will have the Citrus Safe Choose Cone. For all the restarts here tonight, the drivers will be able to choose inside or outside. And we're moments away from firing engines here tonight. And for that, as the anticipation begins, let's go down trackside to Ken.
South Boston Speedway, how's everybody doing tonight? Have you been enjoying yourself? Who all's ready for 99 laps of the Smart Modified Tour, the best modified tour in the Southeast? Let me hear you. We want to thank, of course, the great folks from URW Community Credit Union for coming on board. Of course, the wonderful folks from Pace-O-Matic for sponsoring tonight's race for the Smart Modified Tour as well. I want to thank everyone watching live on Flow Racing, and of course, all you wonderful, wonderful fans coming out here tonight. Another beautiful night of racing here at South Boston Speedway. Got the drivers getting buckled in, some of the best drivers you'll see anywhere on the planet. And ladies and gentlemen, for the command tonight from Pace-O-Matic, Ms. Gail Cruz.
Gentlemen, start your engine!
27 cars strong tonight for the Smart Modified Tour, powered by Pace-O-Matic. 2 drivers coming over from Richmond Raceway today, starting at the tail end of the field. Matt Hirschman in that black number 60, and the 18 car of Bobby Labonte as well. But this car, this field, a star-studded field here tonight at South Boston Speedway. The 3rd race of the year for the Smart Modified Tour, powered by Pace-O-Matic. Brandon Ward on the pole for tonight's race is your point leader by 1 point over the driver that starts 5th, the number 1 machine of Burt Myers. But anybody can win this one. Drivers telling me here today that because of this track surface, because of the tire that they run on these modifieds here at South Boston, this will not be a race where you will see a driver save much. They will be charging hard for 99 laps tonight in the Flying VA Classic. On behalf of Chris Williams and everyone of the Smart Modified Tour, we thank you, all the fans in attendance here tonight, for coming out to the race, and everybody for watching on Flow Racing. I think we're going to be in store for a great race here tonight. And that number 11 for Ray Hendrick, that car reminiscent of what he won in here at South Boston Speedway. One of his many track championships, will be pacing the field with his son Roy behind the wheel, who is a former late model track champion here as well. So a lot of history here tonight for the Smart Modified Tour. and what the Smart Modifieds have done for this style of racing in the South has really brought it back to prominence. Was talking earlier today, and you could see a great crowd on hand here tonight at South Boston Speedway. When these Smart Modifieds roll into town, people take notice, they come out, because they are unlike any other machine on pavement in America. 600 horsepower underneath the hood, low, lightweight, and 15-inch tires with no fenders. Those Nerf bars on the sides of these race cars come out the distance of those 15-inch tires, and that's because they don't want these cars to lock wheels and hop over each other. But these cars are missiles on wheels, and we will be treated to a great show tonight with the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic at South Boston Speedway. Folks, can you feel the rumble from your seats here tonight? 600 horsepower by 27 cars. I'm not a mathematician. I can't do the math there, but that's a lot of horsepower tonight here at South Boston Speedway. Folks, are you having a good time, and are you ready for some mighty modified racing? The cars pull off right now, keeping an eye on Brandon Ward. Pulled to the inside on the entrance to turn number 1, and I believe by virtue of what they're bringing to the car, he's got some radio communication issues, so it looks like he's going to change his helmet. They brought the backup helmet out to him to make sure that he's got communication with his spotter and his team, and that's important because the Smart Modified Tour officials also have to have communication with that team as well if they need to talk to the spotter, and then the spotter can communicate to the driver as well. So right now they're allowing Brandon Ward to change his helmet. He's inside the cockpit of that race car, but that from my vantage point is what is happening here tonight, because you see a helmet be brought over to him just a second ago, and he's switching out helmets inside that race car. If you like what you see from the Smart Modified Tour tonight at South Boston Speedway, make sure you chime in. Let us know where you're watching from all over the map here on Flow Racing, whether you're at home, you're in the garage, the shop, working on the car, a racetrack, the grocery store. We don't care. Show us who you're watching with, how you're watching, and all the fun you're having by watching this Flow Racing broadcast. And thank you to Flow Racing for bringing the Smart Modified Tour more exposure all over America and not just in the Southeast. It does not beat being here in person. You need to come out. And remember, in 2 weeks on a Saturday night, April 15th, we will be at Hickory Motor Speedway. That's not too far of a drive for everybody here at South Boston Speedway if they want to head out there and see some mighty modified racing once again around that famed racetrack in North Carolina in the foothills. You're going to love that show there as well. And that place is worn out and old. Tires will be at a premium, and drivers will be fending for grip at the end of that race on April 15th. We hope to see you there. As these cars circle the racetrack, I want to remind you that Carolina Drilling is a well drilling contractor located in Mocksville, North Carolina. They are a leader in both drilling and blasting in the region and are proud to return as sponsor of the Carolina Drilling Blast of the Front Award. Now, this award is given to the highest finishing non-tour type modified winner in the final rundown. A special thanks goes out to Jason Tutterow. He's in tonight's field, and to all the fine employees from Carolina Drilling for their continued support of modified racing. I want to see those tweets coming in. Make sure you tag Smart Modifieds. Make sure you tag South Boston Speedway. I'm at Bob Dillner with 2 L's, Short Track Life, and a host of others. D's Lugnuts podcast. A lot of people coming here tonight and hanging out. Race 22 as well. There's so much coverage here in the Southeast of all the racing action, and it's just proud. I'm proud to be here tonight. Proud to see these modifieds with a great field. Awesome to see the crowd on hand. Still a little bit windy here tonight, but the wind has died down just a tad here, hopefully making it easier for our float camera operators, Danny and Blaze, on camera here tonight. Matt Smith next to us directing the show. A lot of hard-working people here to bring the coverage. And there you see in the grandstands, just a great crowd on hand here tonight. This place holds 10,000 people is what I'm told. And tonight we have a packed grandstand all over the place to watch 99 laps of modified racing action with the Flying VA Classic. And it's all tonight to pay tribute to Ray Hendrick. Ray Hendrick, one of the greatest of all time to sit behind the wheel of a modified. We've talked about those accolades numerous times throughout the evening, but tonight, that flying 11 pacing the field before the drop of the green for the Smart Modified Tour, and his son Roy behind the wheel of that race car. Just moments away before we salute you, the racing fans here at South Boston Speedway. We hope this is a tradition that we make here with the Smart Modified Tour. This is the 6th running for Smart here at South Boston Speedway. We came back after a long absence from 2001 to 2021, ran in 21, 22, and back again in 2023, and proud to be here. Getting some heat in the tires under the lights tonight here at South Boston Speedway. Thanks to Chase and Carly and the entire staff here. They do such a fine job after taking over the reins from Kathy Rice, who was here for 21 years. And now Chase and Carly running everything here at this racetrack, greeting the racers as they lined up to sign in the pit shack off of turn number 2 today. A nice warm welcome. And I think everybody walking through the front gate as well as the back gate here has felt the greetings and the desire to keep modifieds alive here at this racetrack. South Boston Speedway is not just the home of the bologna burger. Some might argue that this is the birthplace of Southern modified racing. And tonight, we honor one of the all-time best, Ray Hendrick. And we are delighted that his son Roy has joined us here for the Flying VA Classic. So folks, get up on your feet and get out of your seat as the Smart Stars salute you, the best racing fans in America. This is our salute to open wheels, to chrome horns, and to 600 horsepower. The ground pounders, the Mod Squad. This is the Smart Modified Tour. JB Cole in the flag stand here tonight, getting the fans on their feet. Everybody in attendance pumped up to be here. Get your phones out. Make sure you take pictures, video, you name it. Tell everyone on social media all about the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. That front row tonight, made up of 2 hungry race car drivers. One that won just 1 week ago in that number 2 machine, that rocket ship, driven by Brandon Ward out of North Carolina. The Virginian on the outside of the front row, the veteran Dennis Holdren, and that car, the Black 07, infamous with modified racing here in the South. Paul Radford, Satch Worley, 2 of the best in Southern modified racing have raced that car. And then back in the field at the tail end, these drivers competed at Richmond Raceway in the NASCAR Wheel of Modified Tour event just this afternoon. The number 18 with that Pace-O-Matic cookout car, Bobby Labonte, the former Cup champion, on the outside right there of that shot, gonna try to make his way to the front. And the guy that won here 1 year ago, the defending winner of this race on the inside of that shot, was the 60 car of Matt Hirschman. Matt Hirschman, the most decorated driver in modified racing over the course of the last decade. We're ready for the Flying VA Classic tonight at South Boston Speedway. 99 laps for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. Fans, get up out of your seats. By the grace of God and 600 horsepower, we celebrate the 200th race of the Smart Modified history here tonight at South Boston Speedway. Brandon Ward rockets to the lead on lap number 1. Look at who's coming to the inside of him, that 55 car for Jeremy Gerstner. Gerstner up to second, now the battle is for third. Holdren on the outside. Early on in this race, not the place to be. Burt Myers moves by him and moves into that third spot. Here comes Bobby Meismer. And the Racing Electronics number 14, he moves by Holdren as well. Brian Weber, by the way, already on pit road in this one in the 07 machine. But Holdren trying to hold on right now. Right now, he's not on the preferred groove around this racetrack. Here comes Jonathan Cash in that Pace-O-Matic machine. And behind that, Holdren's got to get down because here comes Caleb Heddy as well. Bottlenecked a little bit there. Everybody had to check up. Burt Myers slowed down a little bit. Carson Lofton in that red number 23. Very fast, just 15 years old. He could be a winner here tonight. Yellow flag does come out here. And we have Zach Brewer on the backstretch in that hillbilly racing ride. See some smoke billowing from the front end of that machine. That will bring out the first caution of this race. Everybody fighting for territory, and right now the bottom is definitely the place to be here at South Boston Speedway. But we're just early into this one. 4 laps complete of 99 in the Flying VA Classic. Want to give a shout out to everybody from the Smart Modified Tour as well. We mentioned Chris Williams. You know, you have JB Cole there on the flag stand, but Justin Mincy, so many people, Honeycutt, everybody that do so much for this series. We got to say thank you. And we're missing somebody that we normally see here at the racetrack, somebody that's near and dear to me. My brother, Matthew Dillner. I went out to Kansas here today, a wedding for his brother-in-law. Congratulations. But I'm sure Matthew is at the reception right now with his phone and watching the Flow Racing broadcast. Doc Love says absolutely MD is. You talk about a guy that is passionate for modified racing, that's Matthew Dillner. And I'm proud, you know, that he's my brother. We grew up around modified racing, first on Long Island, then the entire Northeast area. Race of Champions, Featherlight Modifieds is what they were once called when this tour was started, back in the days of Richie Evans and Charlie Drzambach and Fred Harback and Jerry Cook and Mike Stefanik and then, you know, Tony Hirschman, Matt Hirschman's father. So many great modifieds. And we used to come down here to Virginia, to South Boston Speedway, to Martinsville. Came down here about 3 or 4 times a year to see Southern Modified racing because it was awesome to see the Northern Modified guys go up against the Southern contingent. And man, it was certainly a battle at every racetrack. Guys like Johnny Bryant, I remember him, you know, just winning at Martinsville years ago in that black and white number 45. So much history in the North and the South for modifieds. There is a great shot that we're going to show you in just a minute. I jumped the gun because I'm watching the screen here. Don't look yet, Bob. But just momentarily, we're going to show you a good shot of the Citrus Safe Choose Cone. And all these drivers, when they get to that cone, have the opportunity to choose the inside or outside lane. Well, if you look at what happened to Dennis Holdren, if I'm a driver and I'm in the top 5, I'm going inside because Holdren was freight trained, stuck on the outside, lost a bunch of spots here in the early opening laps of this race. He started on the outside of the front row, and Dennis Holdren is now in 8th after only 4 laps. There is the Citrus Safe Choose Cone. With 2 to go before we go green, the drivers now get to choose outside or inside. How about that? Jeremy Gerstner going to the outside. And basically they follow in almost as they're running right now. So maybe the outside groove, some think it's actually pretty decent. Is Dennis Holdren on the outside or inside? Trying to figure that out right now. He's on the inside. He's going to be a lot happier right now, the driver of that 07 machine. But let's take a look at the top 4, 5, 6 cars right here. We have Brandon Ward, who will be on the point for this restart. To his outside will be the 55 car of Jeremy Gerstner. By the way, Zach Brewer now on pit road, that Hillbilly Racing team pushing that car. He stopped on the racetrack, had smoke coming out from the hood area, and now they're pushing that 79 car behind the wall. Nice, slow pace coming to the green next time by. They will get to the Pace-O-Matic restart zone coming off of turn number 4 and fire those 600 horsepower engines once again. Just 4 laps of 99 complete so far here tonight for the Mighty Modifieds at South Boston. Jeff Button puts out the green flag again, and Brandon Ward able to grab that top spot. Maybe a little contact down there with Jeremy Gerstner in the 55. Burt Myers locking down that 3rd spot. Bobby Meismer Jr. in the 14 is in the 4th spot, but we got a battle for 5th right now. Carson Lofton on the inside in that red 23, and on the outside, Jonathan Cash. Look at him. Cash going for big money here today in the Smart Modified Tour. Zooms by the 23. Now trying to get by Bobby Meismer Jr. He does it. Move Jonathan Cash up to 4th early in this one. Cash not wasting any time whatsoever. He's a man with a lot of experience here at late model stock cars, the E-Series, Pro Cup, you name it. And Jonathan Cash up to 3rd now. Jeremy Gerstner under fire for 2nd. Great battles on this racetrack here. Gerstner and Jonathan Cash battling here. We're going to go to the 2 box because the racing is so good here on Flow Racing. And there you see Jonathan Cash going for the lead. The battle on the right side. Caleb Heddy trying to hold off Coulter, but the battle for the lead no more. Jonathan Cash to the front of this field here in the Flying VA Classic. How about that? And honestly, you think, did he burn up his stuff? Did he use up too much tire? He got there so quickly, I don't know if he did, honestly. Burt Myers has moved into 2nd now. Jeremy Gerstner in 4th. Brandon Ward biding his time. Back in that 5th spot right now. 4th spot actually for the number 2 machine as Bobby Meismer rides in 5th. Burt Myers starting to hound Jonathan Cash. This car for Sadler Stanley Racing, driven by Ryan Newman in the open air Florence. Burt Myers puts his nose to the inside of Jonathan Cash. Battle for the lead. Wow. The ace, Burt Myers, makes quick of it and gets to the lead here at South Boston just 13 laps into this race. Jeremy Gerstner now in 2nd in the 55. Burt Myers opened the hole, and the 55 of Gerstner filled it. Yellow flag, 2nd caution of the night. A car slowing in turn number 4, and it's Jonathan Brown. This could be a big hit for Jonathan Brown. Let's see if he's able to make some repairs and get back out there. 3rd in Smart Tour points coming into this race. 10 points back of Brandon Ward, the point leader. But Jonathan Brown with 3 career Smart wins. That team looking at the front end of that machine to find out what's awry on that number 24. Jonathan Brown, we mentioned that good start to the season. A 5th at Florence and a 6th at Caraway. That could be in jeopardy, a top 10 string for the first 2 races of the year here at South Boston tonight. Let's go down to Ken and find out what's going on with the 24.
Down here at pit road, Jonathan Brown's night is done. Taking a look under the hood, much like the 79 car before them, can't quite figure out what's going on with the car at the moment, but whatever it is terminal. They're going to work on the car down here for a little bit, but the helmet's off, the steering wheel is off, and Brown's night is done tonight. He's getting out of the car right now, and tough break for that 24 team. Had a good run going so far, but just something like go on that thing, and he pulled it down on the pit road, and his night is done. Back up to you guys.
Bad break for Jonathan Brown. Let's take you through the top 10 early in this race. 14 laps complete for the Smart Modified Tour at South Boston Speedway. And leading this field right now is Burt Myers. Burt Myers in that number 1 machine, looking for his 9th win, the Smart Modified Tour. To his outside, running second, Jeremy Gerstner. Gerstner very fast today in that 55 machine. On the inside of the second row, it's Jonathan Cash in that Pace-O-Matic number 39 for Sadler Stanley Racing. Thank you to the Senator. He came out here today. Nice to see him here and talk to him here today at South Boston Speedway. Starting fourth on this restart on the outside of row number 2. The number 14 car of Bobby Meismer Jr. having a second straight good run in Smart Tour competition. Fifth is Carson Lofton in the 23. Good run for the teenager. Joey Coulter started outside the top 10, has already worked up to 6th in that gray 02 machine. 7th, the pole sitter, Brandon Ward, has faded back to that position. He's the point leader of the Smart Tour. 8th is Caleb Hetty, the defending series champion in that black and red 7NY. 9th is Tom Buzzy. He started in the 5th row, remains on the 5th row for this Pace-O-Matic restart zone. And to his outside, Brian Lofton. So 2 Loftons in the top 10 early in the going here at Sobo. Watch Jonathan Cash on the inside. Burt Myers back to the lead. But Jeremy Gerstner might lose second. Man, he is wheeling it on the outside. High, wide, and handsome here at South Boston Speedway. Bobby Meismer trying to follow as well. Gerstner solidly in second. Jonathan Cash now might lose third. Bobby Meismer Jr., that second groove on the outside, coming in here at South Boston. Yellow flag back out here at Sobo. And I believe it's for the rookie, Riley Neal, in turn number 2. Stops on the racetrack. Wondering if he's got something wrong with the left front suspension on that machine as the car sits in turn number 2. Riley Neal's uncle, Tommy, so good at Bowman Gray Stadium. 54 times a winner. You see some smoke there coming from the back end of that machine. I believe he's got something broken on the suspension there. I believe that's the chassis dragging on pit road down the backstretch here. His team going to attend to that 07 car. But trouble early in this race for Riley Neal. Bad break, especially for that kid. Ran so well at Caraway Speedway, solidly in the top 10. Finished just outside the top 10. But really his breakout party 1 week ago at Caraway, after admittedly struggling at Florence Motor Speedway, which is one tough racetrack there to open the season at the beginning of March. So 2 drivers with trouble early on in this one. Riley Neal, his team, looking at that race car on the backstretch pit road, as well as the 24 car of Jonathan Brown. As you heard Ken say, Jonathan Brown has his helmet off. That team appears to be done for the Flying VA Classic. If you like what you see tonight at South Boston Speedway for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic, make sure you get on social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Smart Mods can be found there. And let us know where you are watching from. Whatever state it is, whatever town it is, whether you've seen modifieds or not, we don't care. We just care that you're watching tonight. We hope to see you in attendance here for some other show at South Boston Speedway, or for maybe one of the upcoming races for the Smart Modified Tour. We are at Hickory Motor Speedway in North Carolina in the foothills of NC on April 15th. That's a Saturday night. Excited to be there in just a couple of weeks as well. The week before, all the action starts at the Madhouse Bowman Gray Stadium, and that racing will be able to see once again this year on Flow Racing. My brother, Matthew Dillner, going to be calling all the action there. We know how animated he can get. Remember the Pintang from last year? That was made famous last year during that competition at Bowman Gray Stadium. But here we go. JB Cole says we're 1 to go until we go green flag racing again here at South Boston. Just a reminder, 15 laps complete. 3 cautions into this one here tonight. It's Burt Myers. Jeremy Gerstner back on the outside. Used that outside groove to his benefit on that last restart and powered to the second spot. Bobby Meismer Jr. and that white number 14 on the inside of the second row runs third. Jonathan Cash on the outside in fourth. And Joey Coulter already up to that 5th spot. Coulter started 11th. Here we go in the Pace-O-Matic restart zone. "15 laps into this one. They'll complete 16 this time by Jeremy Gerstner to the front of the field in the Flying VA Classic. Gerstner gets it done. Myers now under fire for second. Bobby Meismer Jr. going to the inside. Meismer, Coulter's there. Little contact between Meismer and Burt Myers. Opens up the door for Joey Coulter. Meismer now in second. Coulter trying to take third from Burt Myers and does. Action is hot early in the Flying VA Classic at South Boston Speedway. You can't get much better than that. If you're in the grandstands, grab a bologna burger. If you're at home, grab some popcorn. This one's going to be good tonight. Carson Lofton moves by Burt Myers as well. Jonathan Cash there. So right now it's Jeremy Gerstner in first. Second is Bobby Meismer. Joey Coulter in third. Fourth, Carson Lofton. And here comes Carson Lofton in that red 23. Brandon Ward moves back by Burt Myers. Myers losing all sorts of spots here after this restart. And we'll have the end of stage 1 at lap 30. That is a big thing because points are awarded to the top competitors across the finish line at the end of stage 1 at lap 30. Tom Buzzy making a return to the modified wars in the South in that 5 machine. Couldn't get to the inside. Buzzy in the Buzzy Racing machine. The Buzzy family. Tom lost his grandmother 1 week ago. He's got a sticker adorned to the outside of that race car to honor his grandmother here tonight. And she is riding with him. He says, Grandma would have wanted me to have been here. That's why I'm here. Tom Buzzy hoping to carry his grandma to victory tonight. Brian Lofton to the inside of Brandon Ward. Passes him quite easily, so Brian Lofton, like his son, up front in this one. Lofton now up to the 7th spot, dropping Ward to 8th. Bobby Meismer Jr. in the white 14. There's the 0-2 of Joey Coulter and the 23 of Brian Lofton's son, Carson. Carson having a great run in the early going at South Boston Speedway. Just a handful of starts in these high horsepower modifieds, and Carson Lofton is showing off his talent tonight. Jonathan Cash still back there as well. We need to check in on Matt Hirschman and Bobby Labonte. Bobby Labonte trying to work his way through the field. Ran at Richmond Raceway earlier today in the NASCAR Wheel and Modified Tour event. And now Bobby Labonte picking off some spots in this one. Labonte up to 7th. He started 26th, so he's gained some spots here in this race, but not exactly where Bobby Labonte wants to be. He wants to pick off more. You see Johnny K right in front of him in that brand new yellow number 48 PSR machine. A little wiggle out of Johnny K right there, maybe struggling with the handling of that race car in his first outing in a new machine here tonight at Sobo. And there it is. Stage 1 is done here at South Boston Speedway for the Flying VA Classic for the Smart Modified Tour. And it'll be Jeremy Gerstner in the 55 picking up the Bell Helmet stage win for that driver out of Florida. He picks up some points here as well that will help him in the points championship chase. Jeremy Gerstner, one of those guys we figured that was going to challenge for the championship here in the Smart Modified Tour this year. But Jeremy Gerstner has had a tough go of it coming into this one. 14th, he's mired in the point standings. But this will help him picking up this bonus points thanks to Bell Helmets here tonight. Your top 10 as they run at lap number 30. Jeremy Gerstner in that top spot. Second place is the 14 car of Bobby Meismer Jr. Third, former NASCAR Trucks winner Joey Coulter. Fourth, Carson Lofton, the teenager in the 23, and Jonathan Cash, that driver with a lot of experience here at South Boston Speedway, is in the 5th spot. Cars pitting here right now. You see the 15 of Brian Lofton relinquishing the top spot. We do have a medical emergency here at South Boston Speedway. We understand, we were just told that a car that is owned or driven by Tommy Baldwin is blocking in the ambulance. We have a medical emergency and somebody needs to move that car immediately. So if you can hear us in the infield and you know where Tommy Baldwin is, or can contact his spotter that knows somebody in the grandstands that can take the keys to that car, we need that car moved immediately. It is blocking the ambulance. So Brian Lofton on pit road in this one. Brandon Ward on pit road as well. I believe we saw Matt Hirschman, yes, Matt Hirschman on pit road, who started at the tail end of the field making some adjustments. Bobby Labonte as well. So several cars on pit road. Jason Myers in the number 4 machine, and the 45 car of Gary Young Jr. in your picture right there. He's the front car in that shot. Interesting move by the 15 car of Brian Lofton, who had run so well in the opening 30 laps of this race. He was not happy with his qualifying run, said the driver just got it a little bit wrong. Started 16th, was a big mover in this one, and moved all the way up to 6th prior to this caution. He was in the running for the Pace-O-Matic hard charger of the race, still can be for sure, but he pitted during the sequence, as did the guy that started first in this 99-lap race here tonight. The winner 1 week ago at Caraway, Brandon Ward. But Brian Lofton, watch this car try to come through the field now. Brian Lofton is a savvy veteran and knows what needs to be done behind the wheel of a 600 horsepower car. For all the fans of modified racing around America, both in the north and the south, we want to also mention there's the 60 machine of Matt Hirschman. Matt Hirschman was trying to make his way through the field prior to the caution and moved all the way up to 19th, but came down to make some adjustments to that 60 car and now is near the tail end of the field again. Lights are off the pace truck here at South Boston Speedway. That pace truck will pull to the infield, and it'll be all Jeremy Gerstner and Bobby Meismer who will fire in the Pace-O-Matic restart zone 30 laps already scored in this 99-lap race for the Smart Modified Tour. Gerstner with a good start. Bobby Meismer doesn't fire. And now here comes Carson Lofton to the inside of Meismer to challenge for second. Joey Coulter there as well. Meismer's got second in that 14. Now the 23 trying to hold off the 0-2 of Coulter. Coulter has been electrifying early in this race, charging from the 11th starting spot all the way up to third now for Joey Coulter. Coulter also in the running for the Pace-O-Matic hard charger of the race. That car is on fire here tonight, and so is the 5 of Tom Buzzy. Buzzy up to fourth, and now Buzzy, who started in that 5th row challenging for the 3rd spot. By the way, for all the Jonathan Brown fans, that 24 car, Jonathan Brown has climbed back behind the wheel of that car, put his helmet back on. He's pulling out onto the racetrack, going to try to get some laps. Oh, no! Bobby Meismer Jr. Possible tire down on that machine. He spins with an array of sparks in between 3 and 4 on lap number 33. Wow, trouble for Bobby Meismer Jr. That left rear going down on that Z-Max Lubricants car. And he had a great run going, gonna come down pit road and change that tire. Fortunately, Bobby Meismer Jr. not going down a lap here at South Boston, but we do have several other cars involved. Johnny K in that yellow number 48, and Bobby Labonte in the number 18 car involved. That car sponsored by Pace-O-Matic as well as Cookout. Gotta love those Cookout burgers for sure. The number 21 car also involved in this melee. That's Jimmy Wallace. He finished 7th here 2 years ago in the Smart Modified Tour action. So Bobby Meismer triggered it with a left rear tire going down. It appears as though Jason Myers also involved to some degree behind the incident here in those cars that we see on your screen, but I see Jason Myers stopped down on the racetrack as well. He refires and now gets going once again. We're going to take a look at the replay on Flow Racing in just a second. But Bobby Labonte, has been an eventful day for him. Finished 6th in the NASCAR Wheel of Modified Tour event at Richmond Raceway, about 2 hours away from South Boston. Came it over to here, had a couple of laps of practice just prior to the start of this race. Came down pit road, made some adjustments to that car. His t-shirts, by the way, being sold in the midway. Let's take a look at what happened to Bobby Meismer Jr., who was just in front of this. And there you see, spinning like a top down in 3 and 4 with that left rear tire going down, and a lot of drivers with nowhere to go behind that. And I believe the 18 of Daniel Yates might have been involved. A tap for Jonathan Cash to Joey Coulter. Coulter spinning down there as well. Good vantage point by Flow Racing on our broadcast partner stream here tonight. But that knock in the back bumper from Jonathan Cash to Joey Coulter. Coulter with a heck of a ride and went spinning down in turn number 4 at the entrance to pit road. Under red flag conditions here, 33 laps into 99 for the Smart Modified Tour. We'll take a quick break here at South Boston Speedway and come back with more modified action. Want to say thank you to a couple of our sponsors. Since 1983, MJ Printing and Graphics has provided affordable custom options for all your printing and graphic design needs, whether it be screen printing for your clothing or apparel, decals, banners, or vehicle graphics for your car, truck, or motorcycle. MJ Printing and Graphics promises to deliver on what you want, because that's where it all starts. Let MJ Printing and Graphics bring your ideas and designs to life. Visit them online at mjcustomprinting.com. That's mjcustomprinting.com. Also, we are approaching the halfway point in this race, and it's never too early to start planning for your future. Never too late to assure that you and your family are prepared for what life may bring. Thankfully, Bankers Life has agents who are eager to get to know you personally, listen to your concerns and your priorities, and fully understand what you and your family needs. To find an agent that is best suited for your needs, visit their website at bankerslife.com. Insurance solutions, retirement planning, financial management, and everything in between. That's Bankers Life. Bankerslife.com, the presenting sponsor of the Halfway Leader and the Smarty Trophy. Short Track Life is a social media experience with Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and yes, a YouTube channel that has coverage of the Smart Modified Tour with plenty of videos, and they are free to consume. Short Track Life brings news, info, commentary, and a behind-the-scenes perspective of the world we love, short track racing, and the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. Follow Short Track Life today on all social media outlets. Under red flag conditions, Bobby Meismer Jr. on pit road, he brought out the caution with a left rear tire that went down here at South Boston Speedway, 33 laps into this 99-lap race for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. We are proud to be here with the Smart Modifieds. Chase and Carly have done a fantastic job since taking over from Kathy Rice with this facility. It's one of the finest in America. And the fans have come out in force to see this fine style of racing. The Mod Squad in action here tonight. Joey Coulter involved in that incident, running really well in the top 5 here in the early going after starting in the 11th spot. But several cars involved, including former Cup champion Bobby Labonte, who's now a regular battling for the championship here with the Smart Modified Tour. Daniel Yates was involved a little bit up there. We mentioned Joey Coulter, Johnny Kay, and Jimmy Wallace as well. As we mentioned, Wallace loves South Boston Speedway at a top 10 run here just a couple of years ago. Want to say thank you to Roy Hendrick for bringing that Flying 11 coupe out here to reminisce about his famous father, Ray Hendrick. Ray, we're honoring him tonight with a Smart Modified Tour at South Boston Speedway. One of the greatest to ever race a modified. Wins all over the East Coast. As we mentioned, a 20-time winner at Martinsville Speedway, the paperclip just down the road from South Boston Speedway, both in modified action and sportsman action. The titles here at South Boston Speedway. And South Boston's so important to the history of Southern modified racing. This was basically in the 60s, early 70s, the birthplace of modified racing in the South. Yes, it ran at several other racetracks, but this was infamous for modified racing. And then, of course, as the evolution changed, late model stock cars became prevalent in the South, and now this is where stars really come to life in late model stock car action at South Boston Speedway. We've seen several national NASCAR Wheel and All-American Series champions come right here from South Boston Speedway. Peyton Sellers, Lee Pulliam, Philip Morris. The list goes on and on. Mount Bowling, so strong for a couple of years here, a 3-time track champion in late model stock car wars here at South Boston Speedway. Chris Williams has joined us in the booth here. Chris, I want to get you on mic here, but you're going to have to go next door, and we'll look at each other from the glass, and we'll get you on the mic there because that's where the other headset is. But Chris, I want to embarrass him a little bit because he likes to embarrass everybody, okay? But I'm going to tell you the truth here. And my brother Matthew has spent a lot of time with Chris. I knew Chris back in the day in the NASCAR Cup Series when he did a lot of work back then. But Chris has done so much to revitalize modified racing in the South. And honestly, and I might make him blush here, but we owe him a debt of gratitude for bringing the Smart Modified Tour back to life. Remember, that went away when the NASCAR Wheel and Southern Modified Tour came to life back in 2006. And when that went away, there were several other iterations of modified racing that never quite caught on. But Chris, what you, JB, Justin, everybody on this tour has done over the last 3 years has been nothing short of incredible. And it's because of those efforts and what you have done that has brought modified racing, which really began to really get things cooking here in the South and now is doing so once again. To see this alive and kicking once again, thank you from all of us racing fans for what you and your staff have done.
Well, I appreciate it, but let's be honest, these guys that strap into these modifieds have a passion to be here, and they wanted a platform to be here. And, you know, they came to me, and to be honest with you, I just tried to provide the best thing that I could with the platform, you know, to be, you know, helpful as much as I can, but put a group together that, you know, have the same passion that I did for racing. And so, I mean, look at these cars. I mean, these guys, the battle is all the way through the field tonight. I mean, you know, they're full throttle. It's not like we were at Florence or whatever, you know, partial throttle or whatever. These guys are really toting the mail, and it shows. I mean, it's pretty amazing to see, you know, what these guys are doing. I mean, I hate that 6 or 7 of them got in a crash, and it looked like it was kind of a chain reaction after the 14 cut a tire down. But I don't know if you caught it. The 14 and the 5 got in the wall the lap before and pushed him up high. And I kind of was watching it because I kind of knew something was going to happen. And sure enough, it did. But, you know, as far as the platform, we have some great racers all across the country, and especially in the South. And, you know, they just want to show their talent. And at the end of the day, if we give them what they need, which is a place to showcase, then we're doing what we need to do. So I'm proud of what they've done. Car counts are extremely well. We've got some really good things on the horizon that we were going to do and you know, be involved in, and I just want them to continue to showcase what they can do.
And it couldn't be done without the help from many sponsors, but of course, Pace-O-Matic with their skill games. They have been behind the Smart Modified Tour and are helping it grow by leaps and bounds.
Absolutely. Pace-O-Matic, we couldn't be here without Pace-O-Matic and what they've provided for us. You know, monetarily, that's the most thing that we need besides the passion. You know, and the drivers see it, and the drivers believe in what Pace-O-Matic's putting in front of us. You know, Mike Pace and those guys, Paul Goldstein, Gina, every one of them, they have a passion. I went to Wyoming with them last year and found out, you know, just kind of what kind of people they are. And, you know, they're true Americans. You know, they love their veterans. They love each other, but they really love what they're doing for communities and small businesses. And, you know, being around them, you know, is invigorating, and it kind of falls off on you a little bit. So it's fun times with those guys. And, you know, like I said, I cannot begin. We would not be where we're at if it wasn't for Pace-O-Matic, for sure. And I really respect all those guys and try to showcase, you know, their skill games. We went to a couple of places in the last week, and, you know, the people that have their games, and, you know, we've spent a lot of people autographing and stuff and spending time with them and enjoying playing those games. And, you know, got to have a little skill to play those games. You know, it's just not pulling a handle and hope you win. So really appreciate what they've done, for sure.
During red flag conditions here at South Boston Speedway, Bobby Meismer Jr. cut a tire in the 14, running in the top 5. Little contact with Tom Buzzy just prior to that. Don't know if that's exactly what cut the tire, but you can put 2 and 2 together and figure that's probably what it was. He went spinning in turns 3 and 4, and then several cars collected, including Johnny K. Nice to see him back with a Smart Modifieds, brand new race car for the driver of that number 48. Daniel Yates was involved, Joey Coulter down there. Bobby Labonte was involved. You see Johnny K's car coming off the racetrack right now. Jimmy Wallace as well. So we'll see what repairs can be done to these race cars and if these guys can get back out there. Of course, we're done with the stage 1 in this race. We're approaching the halfway point in this one. And I think a lot of things are shaking out right here. What I like, Chris, of what I'm seeing, a lot of guys are charging hard, fading back. We got a lot of comers and goers in this one, and that's what you want out of modified racing. Absolutely. I mean, there's nothing that, you know, more thrilling to see them, you know, flying around the racetrack full throttle. Have you seen, we've already had 2 or 3 checkups that about wrecked the field. You know, Bobby Meismer made a great save there on that caution the time before. And, you know, just to see kind of how, you know, these guys are, I can see some of the things, how they're playing out right now. I can see the ones that are full throttle. You know, there is 1 or 2 out there that's playing a cat and mouse game. Hirschman being one. I can tell he's already doing it.
And, you know, let's be honest, you know, we started with 25, 26 cars and, 27 cars. And, you know, he's up to 15th or 16th right now, you know, which that wreck helped. But, you know, it's playing into some of these guys' hands. And, you know, this track right here, it's going to go by quickly. And it's going to be quick. And the bad thing about it is when it happens here, it happens real quick, you know. And, you know, I hate that. And I hate it for these guys. I mean, Bobby had a good race, you know, at Richmond today, finished 6th, and, you know, tracked down here to compete with us, and I really appreciate that. But, you know, sometimes you have bad luck. Jonathan Brown got in that checkup earlier and looked like he broke a front suspension. You know, and so there's a couple people that you would expect to be in the front that's had some problems already. But it's going to be interesting. There's a couple of good cars up there that's really showing some speed, Gershner being the most. But Tom Buzzy. I don't know if you pay attention. Tom doesn't run with us all the time, but when he shows up, he runs extremely well. He's been in a couple bad, you know, circumstances at the end of the race, but, you know, I see some things happening. I will say the 01 got a warning from the tower a few minutes ago, slow speed. I don't know what that's going on, but if you don't maintain the speed, I'm sure he's coming off as fast as this track is. So that's good to know, and, you know, appreciate Brian and them coming. But, you know, in this track, you cannot be in the way. If you're in the way, it's going to cause problems.
By the way, Tom Buzzy, you know, racing with some passion here. Lost his grandma just about a week ago. That family wanted to come back to the racetrack. They have a sticker on the side of that car to honor their grandmother, and Tom is racing with her inside that race car tonight, and he's having a heck of a ride so far up there, running in the 2nd spot right now. So look out for Tom Buzzy. Remember, Chris, he finished 5th here last year. And, you know, they wrecked that car, at Motor Mile, I believe, or Dominion last year. I think it was Dominion. And they took a while to repair it, but he's planning on running almost the rest of the season with the Smart Modifieds for the remainder of the year.
Yeah. I just looked up, and the 39 has some smoke coming out of the front end. I don't know what's going on there. He's running extremely well. But, yeah, Tom, he wrecked at Dominion. You know, hurt his shoulder and stuff, and kind of took the rest of the year off to recoup that shoulder. I'm trying to look right here on this 39. Well, it's not doing anything now.
I wonder if he locked up the brakes or something.
Yeah, he may. Well, it's smoking again.
It is.
See,
Yes, it is coming out from the back.
Yeah, it's coming out from the front.
Oh, it is. There
left.
it is. Yep.
Yeah, I think he's got. I think it's the brakes locked up. If you want to know the truth, we'll see right here in a minute.
He's coming down pit road, as is Tom Buzzy. Tim Brown as well in the 25 coming down pit road. So several cars, Michael Rich, Carson Lofton, Dennis Holdren, Daniel Yates, Joey Coulter figures he spun, might as well come down pit road after running in the top 5 just prior to that caution. All those guys going to make adjustments. Do they take that tire change right now? There's the smoke from Jonathan Cash's machine. That Sadler Stanley machine, the number 39, one of 2 cars in the field.
That's great TV work, because you can see the bumper pushed in on that left side. He may have got into a line or something that's causing that problem right there. But he hit pretty hard in that at melee up there in turns 3 and 4. So they've got some issues right there they got to kind of figure out. But
he made some contact with Joey Coulter when everybody bottlenecked up there in turn number 3. He made that contact with the 02 machine, and that damage being repaired right now, trying to move away the bumper or something on the front end, I believe, from that tire. So they're working on that Pace-O-Matic number 39 there, but I tell you what, he was shot out of a cannon early in this one. You don't want to burn up your tires, but man, he made it look good early in the going to Jonathan Cash.
Well, if you think about these drivers, you know, just coming back here the last few years to South Boston, he's probably got as many laps as anybody on this racetrack, and I was kind of looking for big things out of him. You know, his practice speeds was okay, but when the race started, I was paying attention to him. And so I seen, you know, he was coming to the front, so he had a different strategy than some of these other guys.
We see Carson Lofton also on pit road in that 23 machine, and they're making some adjustments to the front end of that race car as well. Carson had slipped a little bit in this last run. He had run in the top 5 early in this race, and that kid has got so much talent. Basically, the apple didn't fall far from the tree for Carson Lofton.
Yeah, I see the 14 coming back out, so they must have fixed whatever they had going on there.
I think, honestly, for him, it was just that left rear tire that went down for Bobby Meismer and sent him spinning, and they've changed that tire, maybe come down and made some more adjustments to that race car. But there you see the work being done, completed on the 23 car for Carson Lofton. He will rejoin at the rear of the field. Now that puts Burt Myers back on the front row with Jeremy Gerstner when they come around to restart this race in the Pace-O-Matic restart zone. By the way, we have to say thank you to Senator Stanley as well, because helped organize a little speedier commute for Bobby Labonte and Matt Hirschman today from Richmond.
I will say I don't think they've ever come down 360 quite like that before. and none of them, because Baldwin's a part of that. It was a bunch of them coming down, and I appreciate Virginia and the state police, the county, and a lot of different people working with us, the tracks, Richmond, as well as here. All the folks at NASCAR and everybody, because a lot of these guys competed, up there with some of the crew that was up there as well. So let's go back to green here.
The Smart Modified Tour coming to the Pace-O-Matic restart zone for a restart on lap 33. They fire the 600 horsepower engines and Jeremy Gerstner into turn number 1. He's got that inside group. Burt Myers tries to make it stick, can't get it done, and here comes Caleb Heddy. He was the Pace-O-Matic Pole Award winner here today. A very fast race car with that 7NY for Tommy Baldwin Racing. Going to go to the inside and take over that second spot from Burt Myers. Back and forth. Remember, he pitted earlier in this race. Brandon Ward, the winner of the Warrior 100 1 week ago. Now Brandon Ward up to 4th, and he wants more. Took a peek to the inside of Burt Myers. Look at how fast these cars are here at this racetrack. Just phenomenal speeds, a lot faster than the late model stock cars that we saw run just earlier in the night on Flow Racing. 5th place is Brian Lofton in the 15. There goes Caleb Heddy to the inside. Heddy going for the lead, can't get it done. Tim Brown and Tom Buzzy trying to make their way back through the field, but here comes Caleb Heddy. Heddy to the inside of the Flying Flirty and Jeremy Gerstner. Caleb Heddy out of Kentucky going for the lead here before the halfway point in the Flying VA Classic at South Boston Speedway, but can't get it done. That outside group, Jeremy Gerstner, the veteran, able to keep that momentum, Chris, on the outside.
Oh, absolutely. He's kind of got the Hirschman line, if you notice what he's doing. He's driving it up the track, trying to not to wear out those front tires, and he's doing good. I mean, Gerstner's been a couple of years that he's been struggling a little bit, and to see him out front, I mean, is good. It's great. I mean, the 7 seems like he's a little bit better. Gerstner kind of chopped him a little bit, but, I like seeing these guys right here run as hard as they can for sure. It's pretty awesome.
Gerstner, I love the line that he's running right here. The momentum line around South Boston Speedway. Here is the double box from Flow Racing. We want to show you not only the battle for the lead on the left side of your screen, but where Matt Hirschman is running as well. Hirschman in the 60, remember, ran at Richmond in the NASCAR Wheel of Modified Tour race, started tail end on the field. He's already back up to 7th, came down pit road on that prior caution, made some adjustments to that race car, and now Hirschman is wheeling it here at South Boston Speedway. Good run for Matt Hirschman. Yellow flags back out, yellow lights, and we got a car stopped on pit road as well. Wes Gilbert will stop on pit road and bring out the caution here at South Boston Speedway.
Yeah, they're going to check for oil right there. He had a backfire a couple times coming off the track, and he wasn't going to make it any further, so I know they're going to check for oil right there for sure.
It looks like there is a trail of fluid coming from the rear end of that car that heads back down pit road all the way to turn number 4, so going to make sure that the track is safe for these drivers to compete in. Just to let you know, a couple drivers out of this race. We mentioned Johnny Kay in that brand new number 48 car. He's at his trailer. So is Gary Young Jr. Gary had a great start to the season with a top 10 run at Florence, but he is out of the race here, as is Riley Neal. You see Jimmy Wallace out, Jason Tutterow. Jonathan Brown is out of the race as well.
Yeah, it looks like Finachero done something with the motor on that restart. I don't know if you've seen him go down low. I seen him come off the track, and I see him pushing him around down there in the inside. I'm talking about the green 8, as most people say.
Now, is that green or yellow?
Well,
maybe I'm colorblind.
Well, I'm probably colorblind myself. But, we let these guys run their numbers. I know a lot of people's asked me, should we, not let them run their numbers? But that's their numbers they grew up with. Those are numbers that, maybe their dad had or somebody else. And, we don't as long as we put something around it with their initials or something, we let them run their traditional numbers. I mean, they're attached to it.
So both 8s with some trouble here. Finiciario, you see his team attending to his race car. And Finiciario, good super stock runner from the state of New York, has done really well up there in the fendered action and now making his transition to the open-wheeled warriors of the modified division as well. And then Wes Gilbert out of Long Island, New York, where I'm from, modified country as well. And the West down here has had some electrical troubles on that machine here today during practice. The team working hard, but good to see both of those competitors make a trek down from the Northeast to compete here at Sobo today.
Oh, absolutely. And I tell you, I just, looking at some of the guys, Bobby Meismer's kind of hung around in the back. He hasn't made a lot of big moves yet since he spun out. I see Daniel Yates. Daniel's, since he's come back and raced with us, Daniel has really been doing extremely well in the last couple of races. It's good to see him. He's got the new spec motor in there from Yates. And, Daniel's starting to really mature as many times as he gets to be on a racetrack, and I like seeing what he's doing. He's in the top 10 right here, so I like to see that as well.
Let's go through the top 10 as they run during this caution here. 42 laps into the Flying VA Classic, a 99-lap affair for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. First place right now, Jeremy Gerstner. Chris and I have talked about him. Good to see him running well again in a modified, especially after the opening 2 races of the year. This is what Jeremy Gerstner needed, and he's having a good run so far here at South Boston tonight. Long way to go in this one. Second place, Caleb Hetty in the 7NY, the defending series champion, looking for another win. 2 Pace-O-Matic pole awards already in the first 3 races for that driver out of Kentucky. He's got a lot of talent, got the flow going in the back as well. Maybe makes him a little bit more aerodynamic. Third place, Burt Myers out of Walnut Cove, North Carolina, 8-time winner on the Smart Modified Tour. And remember, Chris, this is interesting because you look back, this is the 6th time the Smart Modifieds have been here to South Boston Speedway. A big gap between 2001 and 2021. Back in 2001, though, it was Gary Myers, Bert's dad, who actually went to Victory Lane here.
Yeah, I tell you, I remember those days coming up here and watching those guys, and it was a great show. Frank Fleming, those guys put on a great show. Frank won many races in the Smart Modified series, and loved seeing and talking to Frank. But Gary, I drove for Gary a little bit at the stadium. I held the steering wheel, but at the same time, Gary has a lot of vast knowledge about race cars and how to build race cars, and of course their son has, both of them has showed that, and so I just give you a little bit of deal. I just Hoots is in the directing this week.
Yes.
And I was last week, and I just put a note to Hoots and said, keep in mind, 180 total laps without fuel. Pay attention, because this could come into play here after you start looking at what's going on right here. So, and that's a lot of oil on that racetrack right there. On that pit road right there. So
we want to go through the entire top 10 to let you know where everybody is running to. The 15 car, Brian Lofton having a really good run. He started back in 16th. Lofton, another 8-time winner on the Smart Modified Tour, coming through the field. He finished second back here in the NASCAR Willem Southern Modified Tour back in 2013, so he knows how to get around this place. But I like the guy right now running in the 5th spot, I believe, is Matt Hirschman. What a run for that big money Matt Hirschman out of Northampton, Pennsylvania. And it would be a big day for Mud Lane in Pennsylvania, because all those drivers that come out of Mud Lane in Northampton, Pennsylvania, Tony Hirschman, 5-time NASCAR Willem Modified Tour champion, of course his son Matt Hirschman here, but also Eric Beers, who is a champion in the Race of Champions series and at Mahoning Valley Speedway. His son Austin tonight all live on Mud Lane, one street in Pennsylvania, and Austin won the NASCAR Willem Modified Tour show at Richmond Raceway here today. And I understand he's come over here as well and hanging out with some teams. And there is Brandon Ward. Brandon Ward having a good run here as well, just outside the top 5. The winner 1 week ago. Joey Coulter just behind that in that gray car. That's a good-looking machine for Joey Coulter in the SRI Performance 02 machine, and he's climbed back through the field again, having a good run. Behind that, Michael Rich. Nice to see him, the former Pro Cup South champion, having a pretty good run, just like he did at Florence to open the season.
Absolutely. I talked to Michael quite a bit, and he's getting used to these modifieds, because he hadn't run them that much, and he's having a lot of fun doing it, which is pretty cool, as you can see right here. And all these guys, you look at Dennis Holdren right here. Dennis has been trudging with us for the last couple years. He's in pit road making an adjustment out there on the front. And, it's good to see all of these guys, not only support us, but out here. And, they run good at a lot of different times. And, they're all running good right now. So it's kind of see. We're not quite halfway, but it's going to change again.
I love Dennis Holdren, one of the good old guys, in racing, not just modified racing, but racing in the Southeast. A lot of experience here at South Boston Speedway and all the racetracks here around the northern North Carolina and southern Virginia area. And Dennis Holdren, that car, as I've mentioned, synonymous with modified racing. Paul Radford, Satch Worley, you name it. That 07 machine has been around for a long time, and now Dennis Holdren holding the wheel on that race car as well. Carson Lofton pulling off a pit road right in front of him, but good to see Dennis Holdren. I know he's looking forward to places like Motor Mile and Dominion as well. Driver out of Roanoke, Virginia. 1 to go before we go back to green flag racing here at South Boston Speedway. 42 laps into this one. 99 laps the distance of the Flying VA Classic tonight. Jeremy Gerstner has set the pace for a long time, but Caleb Heddy in that 7NY has a very fast race car. Can he grab control of the lead here on this restart? We'll find out just momentarily. Then the veterans in the second row. Burt Myers on the inside in that black and white number 1. Brian Lofton on the outside in that red and white number 15. Hirschman lurking back in 5th, and look out, because Hirschman is like a stealth bomber. He's there when it counts at the end of the race. Remember, only led the last 7 laps of the race at Florence to win the season opener for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic. JB Cole says, let's go back to green flag racing here at Sobo. Look at Heddy on the outside. Gerstner takes him just a little bit high. Gerstner in that 55 grabs the top spot once again. Top 4 in this one, single file, side by side for that 5th spot. Here comes Hirschman on the inside. Hirschman trying to take over the spot from Brandon Ward off of turn number 2. They continue to wage war to get into the top 5. I think Hirschman's got a sporty machine here tonight.
Yeah, I tell you what, he looks really good. The guy that's made the biggest move is 39. He has wiped out 7 cars.
Battle for the lead brewing. Here comes Heddy to the inside. Caleb Heddy to the inside of the 55 of Jeremy Gerstner. Don't know if Gerstner's going to be able to hold him off this time. That outside momentum looking good off of turn number 2, but Heddy's got a steam running right now into 3. Caleb Heddy now to the front of the field here during the Flying VA Classic. You knew it was just a matter of time, Chris, before Caleb Heddy took the lead from Jeremy Gerstner.
Yeah, they need to make up for last week's race for sure. I talked to Baldwin afterwards and said he made a couple of changes that wasn't the liking of the car, and he said he was kind of kicking himself, so you kind of feel like he was coming back to the front.
Brandon Ward has slipped back a little bit. There is Matt Hirschman. Joey Coulter's got a fast ride right behind him in that 02 car as well. There they are on our Flow Racing camera screens. We take a look at that battle. Jonathan Cash involved as well. That's Hirschman in 5th, Coulter in 6th, and Jonathan Cash in 7th right now. Caleb Heddy has about a 3 to 4, now 5 car length lead, but the battle starting to brew for second, as we see right here as well. Burt Myers has not pitted just yet. Jeremy Gerstner, the tire, that right rear probably going away on that car with how fast he has been early in this race. 50 laps into this one here in the Flying VA Classic, and we got a good one going on. Look at Burt Myers now go to the outside of Jeremy Gerstner. Caleb Heddy, the Banker's Life halfway leader in this one. So Heddy picking up the awards. the Pace-O-Matic Pole Award winner, now the Bankers Life halfway leader in this one here at South Boston Speedway. Brian Lofton making a charge now on the 55 of Jeremy Gerstner. Lofton, who came down pit road earlier in this one, gets squeezed a little bit off of turn number 4 by Jeremy Gerstner. Lofton can't make the move just yet. Hirschman lurking just like Hirschman always does, like his dad did on the way to 5 NASCAR Wheel Modified Tour Championships. Lofton's got the best run he's had on Gerstner. Lofton now moves up another spot, give him 3rd place here at South Boston. So it's Caleb Heddy by a large margin right now over 2nd place running Burt Myers. But for how long? Because Brian Lofton's on the charge. Hoping for his first victory of the season here tonight is Brian Lofton. A top 10 run for him at Caraway last week. Had ran in the top 5 for a good portion of that event. Lofton outside, inside, looking everywhere to find a way around that Citrus Safe machine for Burt Myers. Top 5 looks like this. Caleb Heddy in that 1st spot. 2nd place across the line right now is Burt Myers, under fire again. Here comes Lofton on the inside. 4th place is Gerstner, but not for long. Hirschman going to the inside of him as well. Side by side for 2nd, side by side for 4th. And Matt Hirschman picks up the spot. Lofton taking Burt Myers way up the racetrack. Move Brian Lofton into 2nd here in the Flying VA Classic. Just past the halfway point in this race, a long way still to go. And a lot of drivers hoping for a caution to come down pit road and take that one tire that they have available to them and maybe make a charge through the field. A little bit further back, just to let you know where everybody is running in this race. Outside the top 5, Gerstner has slipped to 6th. 7th place is Joey Coulter. 8th, Jonathan Cash. 9th is Brandon Ward. And 10th right now is Tom Buzzy. 11th, the Rocket, Tim Brown, the 12-time Bowman Gray Stadium track champion. Joey Coulter has been so strong, but he's kind of stalled out a little bit, Chris. Now going toe-to-toe with Jonathan Cash in that 39, that Pace-O-Matic machine.
Yeah, I mean, you know, about 37 laps to go. I mean, some of them kind of still pacing themselves. I know back when the tour was here in 19, I think it was, I know a bunch of those guys kind of saved some tires and went to the high groove there at the end. And I think some of them's already moved up already to gain a couple of positions, but not riding up there the whole time. So got to see what the strategy plays out the next 30-some laps.
Strategy is just part of the game here in the Smart Modified Tour. That one tire really, and when you take it, really can change the complexion of the race. And right now, Jeremy Gerstner trying to hold on to a spot just outside the top 5. He's kind of holding steady, still using that outside groove while Joey Coulter tries to go after him. Jonathan Cash as well. As we mentioned, Gerstner in 6th, Coulter 7th, and Cash in 8th. Here comes Coulter to the inside. Randy Renfro setting up that machine. Harold Holly, the crew chief on that car. Harold Holly, infamous with many winning race cars and championship race cars. Remember back in the day, that Nesquik car? Jeff Green won the championship in the old NASCAR Busch Series, now NASCAR Xfinity Series. Harold Holly is a guy that likes to have fun and go fast.
Yeah, I like Harold. I like talking to Harold down there. We got spin off the 4.
Jeremy Gerstner spins out to bring out the caution in this one. That 55 losing traction in turn number 4 came to a stop just before those barrels at the entrance to pit road. Good job stopping that car, getting it wound down before he would hit those water barrels down at the entrance to pit road. So 31 to go now in this one. And I think we're going to see, Chris, a bunch of cars on pit road to take some fresh rubber.
Yeah, I don't know how too many more chances you're going to get from here, to be perfectly honest with you. So I think the ones that don't want to work through as many cars through the field is going to take it right here. So we'll see how it plays out.
All the fans in the grandstands here tonight, we have a lot of them, as well as the trackside parking down the backstretch and through turns 3 and 4 as well. We saw some good late model stock car action earlier, Peyton Sellers, and also Carter Langley winning the shows here in the late model stock car wars, and now we'll see who wins tonight in the smart modified action for 99 laps. Waiting for pit road to be open and to see who darts down there, who still has a tire left, who wants to make some chassis adjustments to make their way through the field.
Here they come.
Caleb Heddy down pit road, down the backstretch. Burt Myers as well. Brian Lofton, who pitted early in this race. Interesting strategy for him, stays out on the racetrack. He will inherit the lead. And remember, these teams coming down have the option, if they haven't done so already, to take one tire, make chassis adjustments, but it's a live battle off of pit road as well. And that's what's special about the Smart Modified Tour. Pit stops mean a lot here in modified action in the South. There you see Burt Myers on the right side of your screen, that double box by Flo Racing. Callum Heddy on the left side of your screen was the leader at the time of this caution, relinquishes that to come in and make his pit stop tire change for Burt Myers as well. Joey Coulter on pit road, Carson Lofton back down pit road. Matt Hirschman, by the way, another car that stayed out. Matt Hirschman pitted earlier in this race. During that first caution period, came down pit road again after that. So Matt Hirschman now lurking in second for this next restart for the Smart Modifieds. There's that strategy, Chris, that plays out. I know you're looking at everything around this racetrack as David Hoots does the race direction of this event here at South Boston, but it's so interesting to see the haves, the have-nots, who takes, who doesn't, when they take, when they don't, and to see what shakes down in the later stages of these smart modified events.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't think the 15 would pit. His car been running good on the high side. I kind of knew the 60 wasn't going to pit. If you go back to the north-south shootout, when everybody else pitted, he didn't. So he saved his tires in the first 30, 40 run. I kind of knew he was going to play that strategy out tonight. So it's kind of going to see, you know, who that took the tire, if they're going to wear out their stuff trying to pass cars in the rear to get to the front, and who's in the front is going to save their tires for the last push in the last 10 laps. So it's definitely playing out. Just kind of figure out how these restarts are going to go. But the 7's really fast. The 2's been kind of cruising a little bit, and he made an extremely good pit stop. So it's going to see about that third row back, see who moves forward.
5 smart modified tour races at South Boston Speedway. No driver has ever won twice. That's what Matt Hirschman is trying to do. He'll line up on the outside of the front row for this restart, trying to go back-to-back here in the Flying VA Classic for smart modifieds at South Boston. And there is nobody better in modified racing right now, honestly, than Matt Hirschman. Jimmy Blewett, talked to him down at New Smyrna Speedway during Florida Speed Weeks, and he says, I don't care what people think. Matt Hirschman is the new era Richie Evans. That's how good the driver from Pennsylvania is. He's so smooth behind the wheel, just like his dad was, the 5-time NASCAR Whelen Modified Tour champion. But Matt Hirschman putting together a collection of rides. He's got his own car as well. This is PD Motorsports, and they run a lot of the smart modified tour races here in the South. Let's see what happens on this restart. Lofton and Hirschman bring it to the green. Even right there, Hirschman, so savvy, just falls in line. Not going to use that outside groove right now, letting Lofton have the lead. The battle's brewing behind that, though. Tom Buzzy up to third. Did not come down pit road during that last caution. The Rocket Tim Brown now battling to try to get into the top 5. Brown in that orange and white number 25. Side by side with Brandon Ward, the point leader of the Smart Modified Tour, coming into race number 3 here tonight at South Boston. A little tap to the back bumper of Bobby Meismer Jr. from Brandon Ward. Ward so good at the end of the race 1 week ago at Caraway. Can he do it again here tonight at South Boston? Brandon Ward loves South Boston Speedway. Now trying to pull his nose underneath Bobby Meismer Jr. for 4th. Caleb Heddy, the leader prior to the caution when he came down pit road, marching his way back through the field. Heddy around the rocket, Tim Brown. Now setting his sights on Brandon Ward. That's 7NY thinking about going to the outside, but Brandon Ward drifts high, trying to go to the outside of the 14 of Bobby Meismer Jr. himself.
It's awesome to see these guys do what they do. If you noticed, Bobby kind of chopped the 2 off. The 2 had to check up, and it was really amazing to see the 2 get a little bit wider with the 7 to keep him back behind him. So it's pretty good racing going on right here for sure.
Brandon Ward now up to 4th. He shoots by Bobby Meismer. Here comes Heddy as well. Heddy now back into the top 5 for the 7NY. Battles back here. Meismer falling back a little bit. Burt Myers trying to weave his way through traffic. Remember, he came down pit road as well at the same time as Caleb Heddy, but he's kind of trapped between the Rocket, Tim Brown, his rival, and Bobby Meismer Jr. using that outside groove. Whoa, close call right there for Burt Myers. Into turn number 1 they go. Slower car of Brian Weber, but Burt Myers, like a rocket himself to the inside of Bobby Meismer Jr., moves up another spot late in the going here. 77 laps complete now here at South Boston. Joey Coulter, Jonathan Cash moved by Bobby Meismer. Meismer holding on for dear life at this stage of the game. He is now outside of the top 10 in this race. Brian Lofton all alone at the top of the field. There's Brandon Ward, Caleb Heddy going after him. Brandon Ward actually a 2-time winner here. Won in modified competition back in 2012 in the NASCAR Wheel and Southern Modified Tour, and also back in 2009 in the Pro Cup Series. But plenty of action. I don't think anybody's saving their stuff anymore, Chris.
No, I think they're pretty much wide open right here. So we got 19 laps to decide it. So they're definitely driving to the front. You can tell it too.
Caleb Heddy now up to 4th. He's moved by Brandon Ward. Burt Myers has moved in front of Jonathan Cash. Now Burt Myers trying to close the gap on the 5th place running car of Brandon Ward. There's Tom Buzzy having a great run. Good to see the Buzzy family all in action here. His son here as well. That Buzzy family races together all over the place. Modified action. They've been in the Cup Series as well. And now the pressure coming for Brian Lofton at the top of this field. And it's by none other than big money Matt Hirschman, trying to get to the front to win his 2nd Smart Modified Tour win of the year. A little wiggle there by the 15 car for Shady Grady Racing. Brian Lofton, maybe the handling going away on that car. A little love tap by Matt Hirschman as well. Listen, Matt Hirschman, one of the cleanest modified drivers in the country. Might tap you to let you know that he's there, but is not gonna move you. Hirschman looking all over to try to get by Brian Lofton. Now loses some ground, and he loses that ground. Tom Buzzy is there. Trouble for Matt Hirschman. Matt Hirschman, trouble and slows on the racetrack. Some sparks coming from the bottom of that race car, and Caleb Heddy had to dart to pit road to avoid it. Bad break for Matt Hirschman. 87 laps into this one at South Boston. And bad break for Caleb Heddy as well. What a maneuver by him to not get into a wreck, but Caleb Heddy had to dart to pit road to avoid it, and he's lost a couple of spots, several spots because of that. Lofton all alone, battles back in the field. Tom Buzzy now with the ride of his life, 5th place last year, and right now Tom Buzzy is running in the runner-up spot. Burt Myers there in 3rd. 4th place is Jonathan Cash as well. Joey Coulter making a run late in the race as well. Under 10 to go in the Flying VA Classic. Brian Lofton, all alone by himself, was being hounded by Matt Hirschman, but something broke on Hirschman's 60, and he pulled it down pit road. And now that huge lead by almost a straightaway for Brian Lofton over the 5 of Tom Buzzi. Best battle on the racetrack starting to brew for third. Here comes Cash to the inside of Burt Myers. Little wiggle by Burt Myers. Might have been some contact down there, but Jonathan Cash very fast in this one, while Brian Lofton set sail in this race. Behind that is Brandon Ward and Joey Coulter. Jonathan Cash is fast. A lot of experience here. The E-Series, Pro Cup Series, late model stock cars, and now modifieds for Jonathan Cash. There is Joey Coulter to the inside of Brandon Ward. Battle to get in the top 5 here. Ward trying to hold off Coulter. Those guys are teammates. Battled for the win last week at Caraway, and now Coulter moves back into the top 5 with under 10 to go in this one. 5 to go now, 4 to go in this 99-lap affair for the Smart Modified Tour. Jonathan Cash on a roll, going to the inside of the ace, Burt Myers. Cash has got it going on late in the going here at Sobo. His car very fast. To challenge for the win, though, he's going to have the help of a caution. But Cash, knowing this racetrack so well, as Chris told you a little while ago, having a good run in the top 5 for Sadler Stanley Racing. Tom Buzzi in second, right in front of this battle. 1 lap to go for Brian Lofton. Tom Buzzi in second, Burt Myers third, and 4th place, Jonathan Cash. Coming off of turn number 4, Brian Lofton gets it done in the Flying VA Classic for the Smart Modifieds at South Boston. What strategy and what a drive here tonight by Brian Lofton. Incredible veteran-like performance for that driver. He picks up his 9th career win in the Smart Modifieds in the first of 2023 for that 45-year-old race car driver. Folks, he's turning around in turn number 1. He's going to come by the front stretch, stand up and salute the winner of the Flying VA Classic tonight at South Boston Speedway. It's Lexington, North Carolina's Brian Lofton. We do have the Flow Racing wireless camera going down to Victory Lane. If you can, make your way to allow that camera to get down trackside to get the shot of Brian Lofton getting out of his race car. Down the backstretch right now, went by all the tailgaters in 3 and 4, and down the backstretch, Brian Lofton, this is a big win for him. Said he made a mistake in qualifying earlier today, cost that team, knew they had a good race car, and he proved it. Strategy to pit early, and then bided his time, took the lead, fended off Matt Hirschman until Hirschman had some problems, and it's Brian Lofton winning this one here at South Boston Speedway. Great run by Tom Buzzi, that family team with grandma riding on the side of the race car, finishes in second tonight. Burt Myers with another podium run, his second of the year, had a podium finish at Florence Motor Speedway to open up the season. 3 top 10 runs so far this year for Burt Myers, and he finishes in front of Brandon Ward. We might have a new point leader again. We'll check on that as Brian Lofton trying to pull into victory lane here in front of all the great fans at South Boston Speedway. And there is the famous Flying 11 for Ray Hendrick. His son Roy behind the wheel. His grandson Parker in the passenger seat of that modified coupe, reminiscent of what won the track championship many times here at South Boston Speedway. And together, the 15 of Brian Lofton, and the 11 of Ray Hendrick, driven by his son Roy. Going to take a victory lap here in the Flying VA Classic at South Boston Speedway. What a great tribute by everyone in the Smart Tour, as well at South Boston as well, to do this, to pay tribute to not only a great driver, but a great man. What a great personality was Ray Hendrick. Didn't want to race really for those championships, just wanted to go after the big wins. And he set the tone for not only Southern modified racing, but modified racing all over America for so many years. We thank you to the Hendrick family for coming out here tonight and celebrating the heritage of modified racing as the Smart Modified Tour reignites modified racing in the South. And congratulations to Brian Lofton on winning his first of 2023 with Shady Grady Racing. A little action right now in Pace-O-Matic Victory Lane for the Smart Modified Tour. Brian Lofton, to give you an update, great shot from our Flow Racing cameras down in Victory Lane. Lofton taking off his helmet. That 45-year-old driver, a winner for the 9th time in Smart Modified competition, and that's the big smile. I don't know what JB just told him, but Brian Lofton with a good old smile on his face. His son Carson running in the Smart Modifieds as well, battling for Rookie of the Year honors, the top rookie so far on the series this year. Lofton saying hello. He's going to get big congratulations by that team down in Victory Lane here tonight at South Boston Speedway. Joey Coulter, by the way, good run for him. Battles back into the top 5 late in the going here after spinning. Let's get him out of the race car down there in Pace-O-Matic Victory Lane. What a great crowd on hand here tonight at South Boston Speedway, who just witnessed Brian Lofton win the Flying VA Classic here at Sobo. Let's go down to Ken.
Brian Lofton with a strong finish to this race, and man, you had a lot of good cars you had to beat out there tonight. A lot of hard racing to get out here. How did you get this car into Victory Lane?
I mean, it was a lot of pit strategy. The crew gave me an awesome race car. We didn't really have the qualifying run speed that we thought we needed, and it showed. And then I kind of put us in a box there, qualifying 16th, so we had to use strategy to get up front. We knew we had a fast enough car, but it was going to take a lot of track position, and this ain't the easiest place to pass without using your stuff up. So we pitted early there, maintained what we had, and you know, whenever it came down for it, we had enough to pull it out.
You saw that clear track ahead of you. What was going through your mind?
You're just thinking about hitting your marks there. Spotters telling me what's going on behind me. I felt Matt give me a couple taps right there, and everybody wants to beat Matt. I mean, he's so good. It's just, you know, that's what you dream about. Let's put him behind me and let's see if we can battle it out. I don't know what happened to him there. I hate that, but man, so proud of my guys, every one of them. You know, this is a family-owned team, and they prepare an awesome race car, bring an awesome race car to their track every week, and just happy to get them in Victory Lane.
Brian, congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
That is Brian Lofton finds his way to Victory Lane.
Second place in this race, Tom Buzzy, great run for him. It's been a week for that Buzzy family. Tom lost his grandmother, a sticker on the side of that race car. The spirit of Grandma running with Tom here in this race, and he finishes in second. Does better than that run last year in which he finished in the 5th spot. Tom Buzzy, runner-up here tonight, now with Ken.
Tom, quite the emotional race for you. You've been through a lot, but you find yourself in second place here at South Boston Speedway. Talk about your night and what this race means to you tonight.
Oh, man, this race is amazing. First of all, I want to thank God. Without him, none of this would be possible. You know, we lost our grandma a week ago. She was riding with us. She's on the quarter panel there. It's great. The support of we have so much of my family here tonight to run like this. Just it means so much, especially even going back a little farther where we wrecked the car so bad at Dominion and I was hurt and we didn't get to run the rest of the season. And to come back our first race to run second, it's pretty amazing.
A lot of hard racing through this field tonight. How did you get this car to second place?
Well, I messed up earlier in the race. I got up in the marbles, washed up, hit the wall. My crew got the car fixed. Honestly, through pit strategy, got us back up in good track position. And the car just, man, it rolled the top like amazing. I want to thank all my family, you know, Buzzy Racing, our company we have, our do drivetrain and steering and whatnot for a lot of these race cars in this field. And the other ones, this is great. You know, Troy Race Cars, Mark III Financial Group. My son races quarter midgets. I'm going to do a shout out to Ultimate QM for all his quarter midget stuff.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's Tom Buzzy, finishes second tonight here at South Boston.
And Ken, I asked Tom Buzzy earlier today, is he going to be at Hickory? He goes, oh, yeah, I'm going to be at Hickory. Love that racetrack. It's going to be fun. Remember, Saturday, April 15th, Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic will be at Hickory Motor Speedway. It's not too far from here. Hopefully some of you can mosey on down there and catch some more great modified action. Third place here tonight, Burt Myers. Good run for him, back on the podium. Burt's still looking for that win. He's shaking his head down there because he can hear me here. But, man, another good run, Burt. Down to Ken.
As we said, really good run for you out here. Not quite the finish you wanted. You got right up here to third place, but what did you need tonight to get into victory lane?
We were a little bit reluctant to tighten the car up because we were so tight all day. And there was one adjustment I was going to make, I should have made. But all in all, we were good. Just another podium finish, like Bob said. If we can keep getting these podiums, we're eventually going to get there. The car just got way free after we put the right rear on. I thought I was catching the 5. I doubt I could have passed him if I got there. But 15 had a good run, and I think he had us covered tonight. But, man, we're going to get it. You know, we're going to get it. This team doesn't quit. We just that much. You know, we're that much from having 3 wins already. So just keep digging.
Burt, great job tonight.
Thanks, man.
Burt Myers is going to get it done. Two-time Smart Modified champion, coming so close. That car, that team, they have hit their mark so far this year. An oil leak at Caraway 1 week ago kind of took him out of contention for the win. He had led a bunch of laps in that one early on, but Burt Myers is going to win some races this year and has come close already in 2023. There is Brian Lofton, now 9 times a winner in Smart Modified Tour competition. Congratulations to everybody from Shady Grady Racing. So for Chris Williams, everybody for the Smart Modified Tour powered by Pace-O-Matic, and everyone at South Boston Speedway. I'm Bob Dillner. Doc Love on the broadcast tonight, Ken Childs as well. We had a great time, and we're excited to be with you each and every week that the Smart Modified Tour runs on Flow Racing. South Boston Speedway can be seen on Flow Racing as well. So we'll see you in 2 weeks at Hickory Motor Speedway in North Carolina.